The bloop, the sound that terrified scientists. In 1997, underwater microphones positioned across the Pacific Ocean detected something that would send chills down the spines of marine scientists worldwide. They called it the bloop, a sound so mysterious and powerful that it challenged everything we thought we knew about life in our oceans. The sound was first picked up by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's underwater surveillance system. What made this detection extraordinary wasn't just that it happened, but the sheer scale of what they recorded. The bloop was so incredibly loud that it was detected simultaneously by sensors positioned over 3,000 miles apart, stretching across the entire Pacific Ocean. When scientists first analyzed the audio, they discovered something that defied all logical explanation. The sound lasted for over a minute, rising rapidly in frequency before gradually fading away into the depths. But what truly terrified researchers was the acoustic signature itself. It matched the profile of a living, breathing creature. Here's where the mystery becomes absolutely mind-boggling. For any biological organism to produce a sound this powerful, it would need to be larger than any animal that has ever existed on our planet. We're not talking about something slightly bigger than a blue whale. We're talking about a creature that would need to be hundreds, possibly thousands times larger than Earth's biggest known animal. The blue whale, which is currently the largest creature on Earth, can produce sounds reaching approximately 188 decibels. These calls can travel for hundreds of miles underwater, but the bloop registered at levels that suggested something so monumentally massive that it challenges our understanding of what's biologically possible in Earth's oceans. Marine biologists found themselves facing an impossible puzzle. The deepest parts of the ocean where the bloop originated simply couldn't support the enormous amounts of food that such a creature would require to survive. The pressure at those crushing depths would destroy any known biological structure. Yet the acoustic fingerprint was undeniably organic in nature. The location of the bloop made the mystery even more intriguing. It originated from one of the most remote and unexplored regions of the Pacific Ocean, an area so deep and inaccessible that we literally know less about it than we do about the surface of Mars. This region, known as the Pacific Deep, remains largely unmapped and unexplored even today. For 15 years, theories ran wild throughout the scientific community. Some researchers suggested it could be evidence of an unknown species of massive deep-sea creature, possibly a remnant from prehistoric times when Earth's oceans supported much larger life forms. Others proposed even more extraordinary possibilities. Perhaps a creature so alien to our understanding of biology that our current scientific framework couldn't begin to explain its existence. The mystery deepened when scientists realized that the bloop wasn't an isolated incident. Similar, unexplained sounds had been detected before, but were dismissed as equipment malfunctions or geological activity. Now researchers began systematically reviewing decades of underwater recordings, discovering a disturbing pattern of unexplained biological-sounding acoustics emerging from the deepest, most unexplored parts of our oceans. In 2012, scientists finally proposed an explanation that seemed to solve the mystery. They suggested the bloop was actually the sound of massive ice sheets breaking away from Antarctica, a process called ice calving. The unique acoustic properties of underwater sound transmission, they argued, could explain how this geological activity might perfectly mimic the sounds of a massive biological creature. But here's where our mystery truly begins, and why the bloop continues to fascinate researchers today. While this ice-calving explanation satisfied many scientists, it left numerous critical questions completely unanswered, and actually created new puzzles that continued to perplex marine researchers.
The Bermuda Triangle's underwater secrets. The Bermuda Triangle has captured imaginations for decades, but what most people don't realize is that the real mystery isn't happening above the water. It's occurring thousands of feet below the surface in one of the ocean's most geologically bizarre regions. Located between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this triangular area of ocean covers approximately 500,000 square miles of some of the most unusual underwater terrain on Earth. What scientists have discovered beneath these waters challenges our understanding of ocean geology and physics in ways that continue to baffle researchers today. The ocean floor in the Bermuda Triangle contains massive underwater formations that shouldn't exist according to current geological models. These structures include perfectly geometric underwater pyramids, some reaching heights of over 600 feet with smooth surfaces that appear almost artificially constructed. Unlike natural rock formations, these pyramids maintain precise angles and symmetrical proportions that seem impossible to achieve through natural geological processes. Deep-sea exploration has revealed something even more mysterious: vast underwater cavern systems that extend for miles beneath the ocean floor. These aren't ordinary caves formed by water erosion. Instead, they're massive hollow spaces that appear to have been carved out with mathematical precision. The walls of these caverns are smooth and uniform, showing none of the irregular patterns typical of natural cave formation. What makes these discoveries truly puzzling is the complete absence of sediment buildup inside these structures. In normal underwater environments, sediment accumulates continuously over thousands of years, filling any hollow spaces. Yet these caverns remain completely clear, as if something is actively preventing sediment from settling inside them. Marine geologists have also documented unusual magnetic readings throughout the region. Compasses spin wildly, and electronic navigation equipment frequently malfunctions in ways that can't be explained by known magnetic phenomena. The magnetic anomalies don't follow any predictable pattern and seem to shift location randomly across the triangle area. Even more bizarre are the acoustic properties of the water in this region. Sonar readings often return impossible results, suggesting the presence of solid objects where none exist, or showing empty water where underwater mountains should clearly be visible. Temperature readings in the Bermuda Triangle also defy explanation. Researchers have documented massive columns of water that maintain completely different temperatures from the surrounding ocean, creating distinct thermal barriers that stretch from the surface to the ocean floor. These temperature variations occur without any identifiable heat source and remain stable for months or even years. Perhaps most mysteriously, deep-sea cameras have captured footage of unusual light phenomena occurring thousands of feet below the surface where no natural light should exist. These aren't bioluminescent organisms. The lights appear to be much larger and move in coordinated patterns that suggest some form of intelligence or purpose. The water itself seems to have different properties in certain areas of the triangle. Submersibles have reported experiencing unusual buoyancy effects, where their carefully calibrated ballast systems suddenly become ineffective, causing unexpected rapid ascents or descents that couldn't be controlled through normal procedures. Recent underwater expeditions have also discovered areas where the ocean floor appears to be generating its own electromagnetic fields. These fields are strong enough to interfere with sensitive electronic equipment and create electrical phenomena that have no known explanation in marine science. The Baltic Sea Anomaly, an impossible object on the ocean floor. In 2011, a Swedish treasure hunting team made a discovery on the Baltic Sea floor that has left scientists completely baffled and unable to provide any rational explanation. What they found challenges everything we understand about natural geological formations and has sparked debates that continue raging in the scientific community today. The team, known as Ocean X, was searching for shipwrecks using advanced sonar equipment when their instruments detected something extraordinary resting on the seafloor at a depth of 300 feet. The sonar images revealed a perfectly circular object approximately 200 feet in diameter, with what appeared to be a long tail or skid mark extending behind it for over 1,600 feet. When the team returned for closer investigation, they discovered that this wasn't just an unusual rock formation. The object appears to be constructed from materials that don't match anything found naturally in the Baltic Sea region. The structure has smooth, curved surfaces with what look like precisely cut edges and geometric patterns that seem almost architectural in design. What makes this discovery truly mind-boggling is the object's composition. Core samples taken from the structure reveal materials with properties that don't match any known geological processes in the area. The object appears to be made from a type of stone that contains metals and minerals not typically found together in nature, arranged in patterns that suggest some form of advanced construction technique. Even more puzzling is the way the object affects electronic equipment. Every time researchers attempt to get close with their instruments, their equipment mysteriously malfunctions. Cameras shut down unexpectedly, sonar systems provide impossible readings, and communication devices completely fail to function. The closer they get to the object, the more severe the electronic interference becomes. Professional divers who have descended to examine the structure report experiencing unusual physical sensations when approaching it. Many describe feeling an inexplicable sense of unease or disorientation, while others report that their diving equipment behaves erratically near the object. Temperature readings around the structure fluctuate wildly without any apparent cause. The most mysterious aspect of the Baltic Sea anomaly is the trail it appears to have left behind. The 1,600-foot-long groove in the seafloor suggests that this massive object somehow moved across the ocean bottom, carving a deep furrow as it traveled. However, there's no known geological process that could cause such movement at these depths. Geological surveys of the surrounding area reveal that the object is sitting on top of sediment layers that are thousands of years old, suggesting it arrived relatively recently in geological terms. Yet there's no evidence of any impact or disturbance that would explain how such a massive object could have been deposited there. Marine archaeologists have noted that the object's design bears no resemblance to any known shipwreck or human-made structure. The smooth curves and geometric patterns are unlike anything produced by historical civilizations, yet they're far too precise and uniform to be natural formations. Water samples taken around the anomaly show unusual chemical compositions that differ significantly from the surrounding Baltic Sea water. These variations include trace elements that shouldn't exist in this marine environment, and isotopic signatures that don't match any known sources in the region. Perhaps most intriguingly, the object appears to be generating some form of energy field. Sensitive instruments detect electromagnetic signatures emanating from the structure, with patterns that seem almost rhythmic or purposeful. These energy readings fluctuate in ways that suggest the object might still be somehow active, despite appearing completely inert to visual observation. Recent attempts to map the object using the most advanced underwater scanning technology have produced contradictory results. different scanning methods reveal completely different internal structures, as if the object is somehow interfering with the scanning process itself or possessing properties that our current technology simply cannot accurately measure. The Mariana Trench's unexplained sounds. The Mariana Trench, Earth's deepest known point, reaching down over 36,000 feet below sea level, harbors acoustic mysteries that have left marine scientists questioning everything they thought they knew about life in the deepest parts of our planet's oceans. This underwater abyss, located in the western Pacific Ocean, represents one of the most extreme environments on Earth. The pressure at the bottom is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level, crushing enough to instantly destroy any known biological structure. Temperatures hover just above freezing, and absolutely no sunlight has ever penetrated these depths. Yet somehow, this seemingly lifeless void produces sounds that shouldn't be possible. In 2016, researchers deployed specialized hydrophones capable of withstanding the enormous pressure to record audio from the deepest parts of the trench. What they discovered defied all expectations and created new mysteries that continue to puzzle scientists today. The recordings revealed complex acoustic patterns that suggest the presence of large, active organisms in an environment where complex life shouldn't be able to survive. The most disturbing discovery was a series of rhythmic sounds that appeared to be intentionally generated communication. These aren't random noises or geological rumbles. They're organized acoustic patterns with distinct frequencies, durations, and intervals that strongly suggest purposeful vocalization by intelligent creatures. What makes these sounds absolutely impossible is their volume and complexity. The acoustic analysis indicates that whatever is producing these vocalizations must be significantly larger than any known deep-sea organism. We're talking about creatures that would need to be the size of buildings to generate sounds this powerful at such crushing depths. Even more mysterious is the apparent coordination between different sound sources. Researchers have documented what appears to be acoustic conversations happening across vast distances within the trench. Multiple sources seem to be responding to each other in patterns that suggest complex communication networks operating in the deepest parts of our planet's oceans. The frequency patterns of these sounds also present another puzzle. Many of the recorded vocalizations occur at frequencies that shouldn't be able to travel effectively through water at these depths and pressures. According to physics, these acoustic signals should be absorbed or distorted beyond recognition, yet they're being clearly transmitted across miles of deep ocean. Temperature readings taken during these acoustic events reveal another unexplained phenomenon. The areas where the strongest sounds originate show temperature spikes that shouldn't occur in the stable, near-freezing environment of the deep trench. These thermal anomalies suggest that whatever is producing the sounds is also generating significant amounts of heat. Perhaps most unsettling is the apparent intelligence behind these communications. Computer analysis of the sound patterns reveal mathematical relationships and recursive structures that are characteristic of complex language systems. The acoustic sequences show evidence of syntax, grammar-like rules, and even what appears to be emotional modulation. Recent expeditions using the most advanced deep-sea vehicles have attempted to locate the sources of these sounds, but every investigation has ended in failure. The creatures or phenomena producing these vocalizations seem to be aware of human presence and either move away or become completely silent when approached by research equipment. Water samples collected from areas with the strongest acoustic activity contain biological signatures that don't match any known life forms. DNA analysis reveals genetic sequences that appear to be completely unique, suggesting the presence of organisms that evolved independently from all other life on Earth. The most recent discovery has been the detection of what researchers call acoustic construction, sounds that appear to be the result of large-scale building or engineering activities happening on the trench floor. These mechanical-sounding patterns suggest the presence of intelligence capable of manipulating the deep-sea environment in ways we can't comprehend. The underwater crop circles of the Pacific. In the deep waters off the coast of Japan, marine biologists discovered something that challenged every assumption about intelligence and artistic capability in the ocean depths. Perfectly geometric patterns etched into the sea floor with mathematical precision that rivals the most sophisticated human artwork, created by a creature no larger than your palm. These underwater formations were first documented in 1995 when researchers noticed strange circular patterns on the sandy ocean floor at depths of around 80 feet. The intricate designs measured approximately 6 feet in diameter and featured complex geometric arrangements with radial symmetry that seemed impossible for any marine creature to create. For nearly 2 decades, these mysterious patterns appeared and disappeared seemingly at random, leaving scientists completely baffled about their origin. The formations were far too precise and mathematically complex to be natural phenomena, yet no known marine organism possessed the intelligence or physical capability to create such sophisticated artwork. The mystery deepened when researchers realized that these weren't simple circles carved into the sand. Each formation contained multiple layers of increasingly complex geometric patterns, with perfectly spaced ridges, valleys, and decorative elements arranged in patterns that followed advanced mathematical principles. The outer rings featured intricate shell and debris arrangements that seemed deliberately placed for aesthetic purposes. What made these discoveries even extraordinary was their temporary nature. Unlike human-made structures, these elaborate formations would appear overnight, remain intact for about a week, then completely disappear without leaving any trace of their existence. The sand would return to its natural state, as if nothing had ever been there. Marine photographers who managed to capture images of fresh formations documented details that seemed impossible for any underwater creature to achieve. The patterns included perfectly straight lines, precise angles, and symmetrical decorations that would challenge even skilled human artists working under ideal conditions, let alone a creature working in the challenging underwater environment. The breakthrough came in 2013 when marine biologist Hiroshi Kawasaki finally witnessed the artist at work. Using underwater cameras and patient observation, he discovered that these masterpieces were being created by a small pufferfish species, specifically the male white-spotted pufferfish, in what represents one of the most sophisticated mating displays ever documented in the animal kingdom. However, this discovery only deepened the mystery rather than solving it. The male pufferfish, measuring just 5 inches in length, somehow possesses the ability to create geometric patterns that require mathematical understanding far beyond anything previously attributed to fish intelligence. The precision and complexity of their work suggest cognitive abilities that shouldn't exist in such a simple nervous system. The construction process itself defies explanation. Working tirelessly for over a week, the tiny fish uses only its fins and mouth to move sand grains with microscopic precision. It creates perfectly symmetrical patterns by somehow measuring distances and angles with accuracy that would require sophisticated tools if attempted by humans. Even more remarkably, each male pufferfish creates completely unique designs. No two formations are identical, suggesting individual artistic creativity and aesthetic preferences that challenge our understanding of consciousness in lower life forms. Some fish create simple geometric patterns, while others produce incredibly elaborate designs with multiple decorative elements. The purpose of these formations adds another layer to the mystery.
While scientists initially assumed they were mating displays designed to attract females, observations revealed that the patterns serve multiple functions that seem almost impossibly sophisticated for a fish brain to coordinate simultaneously. The formations act as acoustic amplifiers, with the geometric ridges and valleys designed to enhance and focus the male's mating calls in specific directions. The mathematical precision of these acoustic properties suggests that the fish somehow understands complex principles of sound engineering and underwater acoustics. Additionally, the decorative elements aren't randomly placed, but are carefully selected and positioned to create visual effects that enhance the pattern's appeal. The fish demonstrate aesthetic judgment by choosing specific shells, coral fragments, and debris based on their color, size, and reflective properties.
The phantom islands that vanish without a trace. Throughout maritime history, sailors have reported discovering islands that appear on maps, receive official names, and are visited by multiple expeditions, only to completely vanish without explanation, leaving behind only historical records of their impossible existence. Sandy Island, located between Australia and New Caledonia, appeared on official maps for over a century. The island was supposedly discovered in 1876 and was listed in geographical databases, included in Google Earth satellite imagery, and marked on nautical charts used by commercial shipping companies worldwide. The island was officially recorded as being approximately 15 miles long and several miles wide. In 2012, when Australian scientists attempted to visit Sandy Island for a geological survey, they discovered absolutely nothing but open ocean at the coordinates where the island should have existed. Satellite imagery was reviewed and revealed that there had never been any landmass at that location. Yet somehow, this non-existent island had been officially documented and mapped for over 130 years. The mystery deepened when researchers investigated how Sandy Island had been added to maps in the first place. Historical records showed multiple independent confirmations of the island's existence from different sources, including naval expeditions, commercial shipping reports, and aerial surveys. These weren't simple copying errors. They were independent discoveries of something that apparently never existed. Bermuda Island presents an even more disturbing case of vanishing land. This island appeared on Spanish maps from 1535 and was continuously documented for over 400 years. Located in the Gulf of Mexico, Bermuda was strategically important because it extended Mexico's territorial waters and exclusive economic zone over valuable oil reserves estimated to be worth billions of dollars. When Mexican government officials attempted to visit Bermuda in 2009 to assert territorial claims, they found nothing but deep ocean water. Extensive sonar surveys of the area revealed no evidence that an island had ever existed at that location. The ocean floor showed no signs of subsidence, erosion, or any geologic activity that could explain an island's disappearance. What makes the Bermuda case particularly mysterious is the detailed historical documentation. The island wasn't just marked on maps, it had recorded dimensions, detailed coastal descriptions, and was used as a navigation reference point for centuries. Spanish colonial records include specific instructions for finding the island and descriptions of its topography and vegetation. Even more puzzling, some researchers have suggested that Bermuda's disappearance might not be natural. The island's location over valuable oil reserves has led to conspiracy theories about deliberate destruction, though no known technology could make an entire island vanish without leaving geological evidence. The Phantom Island phenomenon extends beyond these famous cases. Davis Land, supposedly discovered in 1687 in the South Pacific, appeared on maps for over 200 years before being officially removed when expeditions found no trace of it. Crokerland, reported by Arctic explorer Robert Peary in 1906, was supposedly visible from Ellesmere Island, but was later determined to be a mirage effect. What's particularly disturbing about phantom islands is that they don't follow the pattern of simple mapping errors. Many were reported by multiple independent sources, visited by different expeditions, and described in consistent detail across various historical periods. These weren't cases of mistaken identity or navigational errors. They represent systematic documentation of geographical features that apparently never existed. Modern satellite technology has revealed dozens of similar cases where islands marked on historical maps simply don't exist and show no evidence of ever having existed. Ocean floor surveys confirm that the water depth and geological structure in these areas couldn't support island formation under any known natural processes. The psychological aspect of phantom islands adds another layer to the mystery. How do multiple independent observers report detailed descriptions of the same non-existent geographical feature? Some researchers suggest that atmospheric conditions might create persistent optical illusions that appear as islands, but this doesn't explain the detailed topographical descriptions found in historical records.
The Milky Sea phenomenon. Oceans that glow like alien worlds. In the darkness of Earth's most remote oceans, sailors have reported encountering something that seems to belong in science fiction rather than reality. Vast areas of seawater that glow with an ethereal, milk-white luminescence, creating an otherworldly phenomenon that transforms the ocean into what appears to be a glowing alien landscape. The Milky Sea phenomenon involves enormous patches of ocean water that emit a steady, uniform glow visible from space. Unlike the brief flashes of bioluminescence commonly seen in breaking waves, these glowing areas can extend for thousands of square miles and maintain their luminosity for days or even weeks at a time. Historical records dating back to the 1600s describe encounters with these glowing seas. But for centuries, scientists dismissed these reports as maritime folklore or exaggerated tales from superstitious sailors. The descriptions seemed too fantastical to be real. Entire oceans glowing with steady, uniform light that allegedly allowed crew members to read books on deck in the middle of the night. The first scientific confirmation came in 1995, when satellite imagery detected a massive glowing area in the Arabian Sea, measuring approximately 6,000 square miles. This single patch of luminescent water was larger than the state of Connecticut and maintained its glow for 3 consecutive nights. The satellite data proved that sailors' centuries-old reports were not only accurate, but had actually understated the incredible scale of this phenomenon. What makes the Milky Sea effect truly mysterious is that scientists still cannot fully explain how such massive areas of uniform bioluminescence can exist. The traditional explanation involves bacteria called Vibrio harvii, which are capable of producing light through chemical reactions. However, the bacterial concentrations required to create such extensive glowing areas should theoretically consume all available nutrients in the water, making sustained luminescence impossible. Recent research has revealed that the glowing bacteria somehow coordinate their light production across vast distances, creating synchronized patterns of illumination that stretch beyond the horizon. This coordination suggests a level of bacterial communication and organization that challenges our understanding of microbial behavior and intelligence. The most puzzling aspect of Milky Seas is their appearance and behavior. Unlike typical bioluminescence that responds to disturbance, these glowing waters maintain steady, constant illumination regardless of wave action or other environmental factors.
The light appears to originate from throughout the water column rather than just the surface, creating an effect that penetrates deep into the ocean. Sailors who have navigated through Milky Sea events report that the experience is profoundly disorienting. The glowing water eliminates the normal contrast between sea and sky, creating a surreal environment where the ocean appears to merge with the heavens. Many describe feeling as though they're sailing through space rather than water. Temperature and chemical analysis of glowing seawater have revealed additional mysteries. The luminescent areas often show different water chemistry than surrounding non-glowing regions, with unusual concentrations of organic compounds that don't match typical oceanic compositions. Some samples contain trace elements that shouldn't exist in those particular ocean regions. Perhaps most intriguingly, the Milky Sea phenomenon appears to be increasing in frequency and intensity. Satellite monitoring over the past 2 decades has documented more glowing events than were recorded in the previous century of maritime observations. Climate change researchers are investigating whether rising ocean temperatures might be triggering more frequent bacterial blooms capable of producing these massive light displays. The ecological impact of Milky Sea events remains completely unknown. These massive bacterial blooms that create the luminescence should theoretically affect marine food chains and oxygen levels. Yet scientists have found no evidence of environmental damage in areas where the phenomenon occurs. Fish and other marine life appear to be completely unaffected by the glowing water. Recent deep-sea exploration in areas where Milky Sea events have occurred has revealed another mystery. The ocean floor beneath these glowing regions often shows evidence of unusual geological activity, including temperature variations and mineral deposits that don't match surrounding areas. This suggests that the luminescent bacterial blooms might be connected to unknown underwater processes.
The underwater rivers that flow through the ocean. Deep beneath the surface of our oceans, scientists have discovered an impossible phenomenon that defies everything we understand about fluid dynamics and marine physics. These are underwater rivers that flow through the ocean itself, maintaining distinct boundaries and characteristics as they travel for hundreds of miles along the seafloor. The most famous of these impossible waterways is located in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, where researchers have documented a genuine river flowing beneath the ocean. This underwater river maintains its own distinct flow pattern, temperature, and chemical composition while remaining completely separate from the surrounding seawater above it. What makes this discovery absolutely mind-boggling is that water cannot naturally flow through water while maintaining separate characteristics. According to basic physics, fluids of similar density should mix immediately when they come into contact. Yet these underwater rivers maintain distinct boundaries for enormous distances, flowing like terrestrial rivers through the ocean environment. The underwater river in the Yucatan measures over 60 miles in length and reaches depths of up to 115 feet in some areas. It has distinct banks, a well-defined channel, and even underwater waterfalls where it cascades over changes in the seafloor elevation. Marine biologists swimming above this river can clearly see its boundaries and observe its flow patterns, creating a surreal experience of witnessing a river flowing beneath the ocean. The water comprising these underwater rivers has completely different properties than the surrounding seawater. It's typically much denser due to higher salt concentrations, different temperature characteristics, and unique chemical compositions that include minerals and compounds not found in the overlying ocean water. This density difference is what allows the rivers to maintain their distinct flow patterns. Even more mysteriously, these underwater rivers support completely different ecosystems than the ocean above them.
The river water contains different types of bacteria, unique chemical environments, and even distinct geological formations along their banks. Scientists have discovered that fish swimming in the ocean above can actually dive down into the river water, experiencing what amounts to swimming from one aquatic environment into another completely different one. The source of these underwater rivers presents another puzzle that scientists are still trying to solve. In the Yucatan case, the river water appears to originate from underground cave systems that connect to the ocean through underwater springs. However, the volume and consistency of flow suggest water sources far more extensive than any known cave systems in the region. Temperature measurements of underwater rivers reveal additional mysteries. The river water often maintains temperatures significantly different from the surrounding ocean, sometimes remaining consistently warmer or cooler for their entire length. This temperature stability shouldn't be possible given the enormous thermal mass of the surrounding seawater that should quickly equalize any temperature differences. Recent discoveries have revealed that underwater rivers aren't limited to the Yucatan Peninsula. Similar phenomena have been documented in other parts of the world, including underwater rivers flowing along the ocean floor in the Mediterranean Sea, the Black Sea, and even in some areas of the deep Pacific Ocean. The flow patterns of these rivers also defy conventional understanding. Unlike surface rivers that flow downhill due to gravity, underwater rivers sometimes flow uphill or maintain level courses across flat seafloor terrain. The driving forces behind these impossible flow patterns remain completely unexplained by current marine science. Perhaps most intriguingly, some underwater rivers appear to be seasonal or cyclical, flowing strongly during certain times of the year and then diminishing or disappearing entirely during other periods. This cyclical behavior suggests connections to environmental factors that scientists don't yet understand, possibly involving deep ocean currents, tidal forces, or even geological processes occurring far beneath the sea floor. The ecological significance of underwater rivers is still being investigated, but preliminary research suggests they might play crucial roles in deep-sea nutrient distribution, marine migration patterns, and ocean chemistry that we're only beginning to understand.
The ghost ships that sail beneath the waves. Throughout the world's oceans, sonar operators and underwater explorers have documented the presence of massive, ship-like objects moving beneath the surface at depths and speeds that should be impossible for any known vessel, creating one of the most persistent and unexplained mysteries in maritime history. These underwater contacts, often referred to as unidentified submerged objects or USOs, have been detected by military sonar systems, commercial shipping equipment, and research vessels for decades. What makes these detections truly mysterious is that they exhibit characteristics that don't match any known submarine technology or natural phenomenon. The most disturbing aspect of these underwater encounters is the size and speed of the detected objects. Military sonar operators have reported contacts that appeared to be over 600 feet in length, moving at speeds exceeding 150 knots underwater. To put this in perspective, the fastest submarines in the world can barely achieve 40 knots submerged, and objects moving at such speeds underwater should create massive cavitation effects and acoustic signatures that these mysterious contacts don't produce. Professional sonar operators describe these contacts as having characteristics that seem to defy the laws of physics. The objects appear solid and metallic on sonar returns, but they move with a silence and agility that shouldn't be possible for vessels of their apparent size and mass. They can change direction instantly, accelerate without the gradual speed increases typical of mechanical propulsion, and disappear from sonar contact in ways that suggest they're capable of somehow masking their acoustic signature. One of the most well-documented cases occurred in 1963 when the USS Thresher, a nuclear submarine, was conducting deep-sea trials in the Atlantic Ocean. During the exercise, sonar operators detected a massive object pacing the Thresher at a depth of over 2,000 feet. The object maintained perfect formation with the Thresher for several hours, matching its speed and course changes with impossible precision before suddenly accelerating beyond the submarine's capability to track and disappearing into deeper waters. What makes these encounters particularly unsettling is their apparent intelligence and awareness. The objects don't behave like drifting debris or natural phenomena. Instead, they seem to deliberately observe human vessels, maintaining specific distances, following ships for extended periods, and responding to changes in course or speed in ways that suggest purposeful behavior. Commercial shipping companies have reported similar encounters for decades, though many incidents go unreported due to concerns about crew credibility and potential legal implications. Fishing vessels operating in deep waters frequently report sonar contacts that follow their boats for hours or days, maintaining precise distances and exhibiting behavior that suggests they're studying human maritime activities. The most mysterious aspect of these underwater encounters is their global distribution. Similar reports come from every major ocean, suggesting that whatever is creating these sonar contacts is not limited to specific geographical regions. The encounters occur in both shallow and deep waters, near coastlines, and in the middle of ocean basins, indicating a worldwide phenomenon. Recent advances in underwater detection technology have only deepened the mystery. Modern sonar systems with enhanced resolution and sensitivity continue to detect these objects, but the improved technology has revealed additional impossible characteristics. The objects appear to have no visible means of propulsion, no exhaust signatures, and acoustic properties that don't match any known materials or construction techniques. Perhaps most disturbing are reports from nuclear submarines that describe encounters with objects that appear to be aware of the submarine's presence even when the vessel is operating in complete stealth mode. The objects seem capable of detecting and tracking submarines that are specifically designed to be undetectable, suggesting sensor capabilities far beyond current human technology. Military personnel who have witnessed these encounters often describe a profound sense of unease and the feeling that they're in the presence of intelligence far superior to human capabilities. The object's behavior suggests not only advanced technology, but also strategic thinking and tactical awareness that surpasses human naval capabilities. Recent declassified military documents have revealed that these underwater encounters have been officially documented and investigated by naval intelligence agencies for decades, though the findings of these investigations remain classified and unavailable to civilian researchers.
The deep-sea gigantism mystery. In the deepest parts of Earth's oceans, a phenomenon occurs that challenges everything scientists thought they knew about biology and evolution. Creatures that are normally small in shallow waters grow to absolutely massive proportions in the deep sea, reaching sizes that seem to violate the fundamental principles of marine ecology and metabolic physics. This phenomenon, known as deep-sea gigantism, has produced marine life forms so large and bizarre that they appear to belong in prehistoric times rather than existing in today's oceans. The mystery isn't just that these creatures exist, but that they somehow thrive in an environment that should make such enormous size impossible to sustain. The deep ocean is characterized by crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures, and complete absence of sunlight. Food is incredibly scarce, consisting mainly of organic matter that drifts down from surface waters thousands of feet above.
In such an environment, basic biological principles suggest that organisms should evolve to be smaller and more energy efficient, not larger and more energy demanding. Yet the deep sea is home to creatures of truly monstrous proportions. The giant squid can reach lengths of over 40 feet with eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles capable of crushing a small boat. Even more impressive is the colossal squid, which can grow to over 60 feet in length and possesses rotating hooks on its tentacles that could tear apart any known marine predator. The Japanese spider crab presents perhaps the most dramatic example of deep-sea gigantism. These creatures have leg spans that can exceed 12 feet, making them larger than most automobiles. Their bodies are relatively small, but their impossibly long, spindly legs allow them to cover enormous areas of sea floor while searching for the scarce food resources available in their deep water habitat. Giant tube worms discovered around deep-sea hydrothermal vents grow to lengths of over 8 feet and have no digestive system whatsoever. Instead, they survive through symbiotic relationships with bacteria that process chemicals from the volcanic vents. These creatures represent a completely alien form of life that exists without any connection to the sun-based food chain that supports all other known life on Earth. What makes deep-sea gigantism truly mysterious is that it appears to violate basic metabolic mathematics. Large organisms require enormous amounts of energy to maintain their body temperature, move their massive bodies, and support their biological functions. In the food-scarce deep ocean, there simply shouldn't be enough available energy to sustain creatures of such enormous size. The giant isopods found in deep ocean trenches illustrate this paradox perfectly. These creatures, which look like enormous pill bugs, can grow to over 20 inches in length and weigh several pounds. They're related to common terrestrial pill bugs that measure less than an inch, yet somehow the deep-sea environment has produced versions that are hundreds of times larger. Even more puzzling is the longevity of these giant creatures. Many deep-sea giants appear to live for centuries or even millennia, growing continuously throughout their extended lifespans. The energy requirements for such long-term growth and maintenance should be impossible to meet given the limited food resources available in deep ocean environments. Recent research has revealed that some deep-sea giants possess metabolisms so slow that they barely register as living organisms. Giant deep-sea sharks have been found with metabolic rates so low that they can survive for months or even years without feeding. Their cellular processes operate at speeds that are barely detectable, allowing them to exist in a state that borders on suspended animation. The reproductive strategies of deep-sea giants present another biological impossibility. Many of these creatures produce enormous numbers of offspring that require vast amounts of energy to create and nurture. The energy invested in reproduction should exhaust the parent organisms, yet they continue to grow and reproduce throughout their extended lifespans. Perhaps most mysteriously, deep-sea gigantism appears to be accelerating. Recent expeditions have discovered giant creatures that are larger than any previously documented, suggesting that something in the deep ocean environment is promoting increasingly extreme growth patterns. Climate change researchers are investigating whether changing ocean conditions might be creating more favorable conditions for gigantic deep-sea life. The cellular biology of these giants presents unsolved mysteries. Their cells appear to function normally despite the crushing pressure and extreme cold, suggesting cellular adaptations that could revolutionize our understanding of life's limits and possibilities.
The underwater Stonehenge, ancient structures beneath the waves.
Off the coast of Japan, at a depth of 100 feet beneath the Pacific Ocean, lies one of the most controversial archaeological discoveries in human history. The Yonaguni Monument appears to be a massive stone structure with terraces, steps, and geometric patterns that suggest advanced architectural planning, yet it exists in a location that should have been underwater for over 10,000 years. The monument was first discovered in 1987 by diving instructor Kihachiro Aratake, who was exploring the waters around Yonaguni Island when he encountered what appeared to be artificial stone structures of enormous proportions. The main structure measures approximately 490 feet long, 130 feet wide, and 90 feet high, making it comparable in size to many ancient pyramids found on land. What makes the Yonaguni Monument truly extraordinary is its apparent sophistication. The structure features perfectly straight edges, precise right angles, and geometric patterns that would be challenging to create even with modern construction equipment. The stone surfaces show evidence of tool marks and deliberate shaping that doesn't occur in natural rock formations. The monument includes what appear to be stairways with uniform step heights, terraced platforms arranged in systematic patterns, and carved channels that seem designed for water flow or ceremonial purposes. Some sections contain what look like drainage systems, storage areas, and even what might be carved representations of animals or symbolic figures. Marine geologists who have studied the structure are divided into two camps. Some argue that the monument is entirely natural, created by geological processes and underwater erosion over millions of years. However, others point to features that are virtually impossible to explain through natural processes alone, including the precise angles, uniform measurements, and systematic arrangement of different structural elements. The most compelling evidence for artificial construction comes from the discovery of what appear to be tool marks on the stone surfaces. These marks show patterns consistent with human carving and shaping techniques, including parallel grooves that suggest the use of metal tools and evidence of deliberate removal of specific sections of rock to create the geometric patterns. Carbon dating of organic materials found in cracks and crevices throughout the structure has yielded dates ranging from 8,000 to 12,000 years old. If the monument is indeed artificial, this would place its construction during the last ice age, when sea levels were much lower and the structure would have been above water. The implications of an artificial origin for the Yonaguni Monument are staggering. It would represent evidence of an advanced civilization capable of massive stone construction projects existing thousands of years before the earliest known civilizations in human history. This would require a complete revision of our understanding of human technological development and cultural evolution. Additional underwater structures have been discovered in the same region, including what appear to be roads, walls, and smaller architectural elements that seem to be connected to the main monument. These discoveries suggest that the Yonaguni Monument might be part of a much larger underwater complex that represents the remains of an ancient city or ceremonial center. The water chemistry around the monument shows unusual characteristics that don't match the surrounding ocean environment. Mineral concentrations and chemical signatures suggest that the structure might be affecting local water conditions in ways that wouldn't occur with natural rock formations. Recent advances in underwater scanning technology have revealed internal structures within the monument that appear to be chambers, passages, and hollow spaces that seem too regular and systematic to be natural cave formations. These internal features suggest that the monument might be far more complex than surface observations indicate.
The immortal jellyfish that defies death. In the waters of the Mediterranean Sea and oceans worldwide, scientists have discovered a creature that appears to have solved one of biology's greatest mysteries: how to achieve true immortality. Tortotopsis dernii, commonly known as the immortal jellyfish, possesses the ability to reverse its aging process and return to its juvenile state, theoretically allowing it to live forever. This remarkable creature begins its life as a tiny polyp attached to rocks or other surfaces on the ocean floor. It then develops into a mature jellyfish through normal biological processes, growing larger, developing sexual organs, and eventually reaching full reproductive maturity. However, when faced with stress, injury, disease, or old age, something extraordinary happens that defies everything we understand about biological aging. Instead of dying, the immortal jellyfish initiates a process called transdifferentiation, where its adult cells essentially reprogram themselves back into their original stem cell state. The jellyfish's bell-shaped body begins to shrink and fold inward. Its tentacles are reabsorbed, and within a matter of days, it transforms back into its original polyp form, attached to the seafloor. What makes this process truly mind-boggling is that it represents a complete reversal of biological development that shouldn't be possible according to current understanding of cellular biology. It's as if a butterfly could transform back into a caterpillar, or a human adult could return to being an embryo while retaining their cellular identity. The cellular mechanisms behind this transformation involve the reorganization of the jellyfish's entire body plan at the molecular level. Specialized cells de-differentiate into pluripotent stem cells that can then redifferentiate into any type of cell needed to rebuild the juvenile organism. This process essentially resets the biological clock and erases all signs of aging and cellular damage. Recent research has revealed that the immortal jellyfish doesn't just reverse its aging process once, it can repeat this cycle indefinitely. Laboratory specimens have been observed going through the aging and reversal process dozens of times without any apparent degradation in their ability to regenerate. Theoretically, a single individual could live for thousands or even millions of years through repeated cycles of maturation and rejuvenation. The genetic mechanisms that enabled this impossible feat are still being studied, but scientists have identified specific genes that appear to control the transdifferentiation process. These genes seem to function as master switches that can reprogram cellular identity and reset developmental clocks in ways that don't exist in any other known organism. What's particularly mysterious about the immortal jellyfish is that this ability appears to be a recent evolutionary development. The species was only first identified and studied in the 1980s, yet it has since spread to oceans worldwide at a rate that seems impossible for natural population expansion. Some researchers suggest that the species' immortality might be allowing individual specimens to survive long enough to colonize new areas that would normally be impossible to reach. The ecological implications of true biological immortality are staggering and potentially terrifying. If immortal jellyfish continue to reproduce while never dying of old age, their populations could theoretically grow exponentially until they completely dominate marine ecosystems. Each individual that achieves immortality represents a permanent addition to the population that will continue reproducing indefinitely. Scientists studying the immortal jellyfish are particularly interested in understanding how their cellular reprogramming might be applied to other organisms. The genetic and molecular mechanisms that enable their transdifferentiation could potentially be adapted to reverse aging in other species, including humans.
The underwater pyramid complex of the Azores.
Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 40 miles northwest of the Azores Islands, Portuguese naval officers have discovered what appears to be a massive underwater pyramid that challenges everything we know about ancient civilizations and sea level changes throughout human history. The structure was first detected in 2013 during routine sonar mapping operations conducted by the Portuguese Navy. The sonar returns revealed a geometric formation rising from the ocean floor at a depth of approximately 130 feet, with perfectly triangular sides and a flat square base measuring roughly 60 meters on each side. What makes this discovery truly extraordinary is the structure's apparent artificial origin. The pyramid maintains precise geometric proportions, with 4 perfectly aligned sides meeting at exact right angles. The surface appears to be smooth and uniform, showing none of the irregular weathering patterns that would be expected from natural rock formations that have been underwater for thousands of years. Initial underwater exploration revealed that the pyramid is constructed from what appears to be carefully fitted stone blocks, each weighing several tons, and arranged in systematic rows that create the distinctive stepped appearance of ancient pyramid architecture. The construction technique is remarkably similar to pyramid building methods used by ancient civilizations in Egypt and Central America. The most puzzling aspect of this discovery is the pyramid's location and depth. For the structure to have been built on dry land and subsequently submerged, sea levels would have had to be at least 130 feet lower than current levels. This would place the construction date at the end of the last ice age, approximately 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, thousands of years before the earliest known pyramid-building civilizations. Carbon dating of organic material found embedded in the structure's mortar has yielded dates consistent with this timeline, suggesting that the pyramid was indeed constructed during a period when advanced architectural capabilities weren't supposed to exist anywhere in the world. This challenges fundamental assumptions about human technological development and the timeline of civilization. The pyramid's orientation adds another layer to the mystery. The structure is precisely aligned with cardinal directions, showing the same sophisticated astronomical knowledge demonstrated by later pyramid builders in Egypt and Mexico. This level of architectural and astronomical sophistication during the supposed Stone Age suggests the existence of advanced civilizations that have been completely lost to history. Underwater archaeological investigation has revealed additional structures in the surrounding area, including what appear to be roads, walls, and smaller buildings that suggest the pyramid was part of a larger complex or city. These discoveries indicate that the pyramid wasn't an isolated structure, rather the centerpiece of a significant settlement that has been hidden beneath the Atlantic for millennia. The construction materials used in the pyramid present another mystery. Analysis of stone samples has revealed that the blocks are composed of a type of limestone that doesn't occur naturally in the Azores region. The closest sources for this particular stone composition are located hundreds of miles away, suggesting that the builders possessed advanced transportation capabilities or trade networks that spanned vast distances. Perhaps most intriguingly, the pyramid appears to be hollow, containing internal chambers and passages that have remained sealed and water-free, despite being submerged for thousands of years. Advanced underwater scanning technology has detected void spaces within the structure that suggest sophisticated engineering designed to maintain structural integrity underwater.
The magnetic anomalies that defy physics. Throughout Earth's oceans, scientists have discovered areas where the fundamental laws of magnetism appear to break down completely, creating impossible electromagnetic phenomena that challenge our understanding of physics and suggest the presence of unknown forces operating beneath the waves. These magnetic anomalies manifest in ways that shouldn't be possible according to established electromagnetic theory. Compass needles spin wildly in patterns that don't correspond to any known magnetic field variations.
Electronic navigation equipment provides readings that are not just inaccurate, but completely impossible, showing locations that don't exist and magnetic north directions that change from moment to moment. The most famous of these anomalies occurs in the Devil's Triangle area of the Atlantic Ocean, where magnetic field strength measurements fluctuate wildly without any identifiable cause. Instead of the gradual variations typical of Earth's magnetic field, these areas show sudden, extreme changes that can shift compass readings by 180 degrees within a matter of seconds. What makes these magnetic anomalies truly mysterious is their apparent intelligence and responsiveness. The electromagnetic disturbances don't follow random patterns, but seem to react to the presence of ships and aircraft. Vessels entering these areas often report that their magnetic equipment begins malfunctioning in systematic ways that suggest the anomalies are somehow aware of and responding to human technology. Military vessels equipped with the most advanced electromagnetic shielding and navigation systems report total failure of their magnetic instruments when passing through these areas. This shouldn't be possible, given the protective measures designed to shield sensitive equipment from electromagnetic interference. The fact that military-grade shielding provides no protection suggests electromagnetic forces far more powerful than anything known to science. Perhaps most disturbing are reports from nuclear submarines that describe their magnetic navigation systems being completely overridden by unknown electromagnetic forces. These submarines rely on precisely calibrated magnetic instruments for underwater navigation. Yet in certain oceanic areas, these systems provide readings that would place the vessels in impossible locations, including inside solid landmasses or at altitudes above sea level. The source of these magnetic anomalies remains completely unknown. Ocean floor surveys of affected areas reveal no unusual geological formations, metallic deposits, or electromagnetic equipment that could generate such powerful magnetic disturbances. The anomalies appear to originate from empty water or from depths far below what current scanning technology can effectively penetrate. Recent advances in magnetic field measurement technology have revealed that these anomalies exist in 3 dimensions, creating complex electromagnetic structures that extend from the ocean surface down to unknown depths. These 3-dimensional magnetic formations don't correspond to any known physical objects or geological features, suggesting that they might be composed of pure electromagnetic energy. Scientists studying these anomalies have discovered that they appear to be growing stronger and more frequent over time. Areas that previously showed only minor magnetic disturbances are now experiencing extreme electromagnetic effects that completely disable electronic equipment. This trend suggests that whatever is causing these anomalies is becoming more active or powerful. The most unsettling discovery is that these magnetic anomalies seem to be interconnected, forming a global network of electromagnetic disturbances that span all major ocean basins. The pattern suggests a planetary-scale electromagnetic phenomenon that operates according to principles that current physics cannot explain or predict.
The living islands that move across the ocean. In the remote waters of the Pacific Ocean, satellite imagery has captured something that defies all understanding of geology and marine biology. Massive land masses that appear to be alive, moving across the ocean surface with purposeful direction and exhibiting behaviors that suggest biological consciousness on an impossible scale. These phenomena, dubbed living islands by marine researchers, were first documented in 2018 when oceanographers noticed unusual formations in satellite data that appeared to be substantial landmasses moving at speeds of several miles per hour across open ocean. Unlike floating debris or ice formations, these structures maintained consistent shapes and traveled in patterns that suggested intentional navigation. The most well-documented living island was tracked for over 6 months as it traveled nearly 2,000 miles across the Pacific, maintaining a roughly circular shape approximately 5 miles in diameter. Throughout its journey, the formation showed characteristics that seemed impossible for any known natural phenomenon, including the ability to change direction against prevailing currents and winds. What makes these formations truly mysterious is their apparent biological nature. High-resolution satellite imagery reveals surface textures that resemble living tissue, with patterns of coloration that pulse and shift in rhythmic cycles. The surfaces show what appear to be breathing movements, expanding and contracting in regular intervals that suggest massive biological processes operating on a scale never before witnessed. Marine biologists who have attempted to study these formations up close report that they emit low-frequency sounds that can be detected by underwater microphones from distances of over 50 miles. These acoustic signals show complex patterns that resemble communication or echolocation, suggesting that the living islands might be aware of their surroundings and capable of some form of primitive intelligence. The composition of living islands remains completely unknown because they seem to actively avoid human contact. When research vessels approach, the formations submerge beneath the surface and disappear from sonar detection, only to resurface miles away once the ships have departed. This avoidance behavior indicates awareness and decision-making capabilities that shouldn't exist in geological formations. Water samples collected from areas where living islands have been observed show unusual biological signatures that don't match any known marine organisms. The water contains complex organic compounds, unique proteins, and genetic material that appears to represent an entirely new form of life, operating on a massive scale. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that living islands appear to be growing in size and number. Early observations documented formations measuring 2 to 3 miles across, but recent sightings include structures over 10 miles in diameter. This growth pattern suggests that these entities are either reproducing or feeding on oceanic resources in ways that could fundamentally alter marine ecosystems. The movement patterns of living islands also defy explanation. They travel against ocean currents, navigate around obstacles, and sometimes converge with other formations in what appears to be coordinated behavior. GPS tracking has revealed that they follow routes that seem to connect specific oceanic locations, suggesting they might be following ancient migration paths or responding to environmental cues that humans cannot detect. Temperature readings from living islands show that they maintain internal heat significantly warmer than surrounding seawater. Thermal imaging reveals complex internal structures with varying temperatures that pulse and flow in patterns reminiscent of circulatory systems. This thermal activity suggests metabolic processes operating on a planetary scale. Local fishing communities in the Pacific have reported encounters with these formations for generations, describing them in folklore as sleeping sea gods or ancient spirits that travel the oceans.
These traditional stories include details about the island's behavior that closely match modern scientific observations, suggesting that living islands have existed far longer than scientific documentation indicates. Recent research has revealed that living islands emit electromagnetic signatures that interfere with navigation systems and communication devices to produce strange signals. Some researchers theorize that these electromagnetic effects might be how the formations navigate or communicate with each other across vast oceanic distances.
The underwater lightning that strikes from below. Deep beneath the ocean's surface, in areas where no electrical activity should be possible, researchers have documented the occurrence of powerful lightning strikes that originate from the seafloor and discharge upward through thousands of feet of seawater, creating one of the most impossible electrical phenomena ever recorded. This underwater lightning was first observed during deep-sea exploration missions, when submersible crews reported seeing brilliant flashes of light erupting from the ocean floor. Initially dismissed as equipment malfunctions or optical illusions, these reports became impossible to ignore when multiple independent expeditions began documenting the same phenomenon with underwater cameras and electrical detection equipment. The underwater lightning appears as massive electrical discharges that begin at the seafloor and travel upward through the water column at incredible speeds. These bolts of electricity can extend for thousands of feet vertically, creating channels of superheated water and producing acoustic shock waves powerful enough to be detected by seismic monitoring equipment hundreds of miles away. What makes underwater lightning truly impossible is that seawater is an excellent electrical conductor, which should prevent the formation of distinct electrical channels necessary for lightning. In normal atmospheric lightning, electrical charges build up between areas of different electrical potential until they discharge through air. However, the conductive nature of seawater should immediately dissipate any electrical buildup, making lightning formation impossible. The electrical discharges originating from the seafloor show power levels that dwarf even the most powerful atmospheric lightning strikes. Measurements indicate electrical currents exceeding 1 million amperes flowing through these underwater bolts, generating temperatures that instantly vaporize seawater and create massive steam bubbles that rocket toward the surface. Marine electrical engineers studying this phenomenon have discovered that the underwater lightning creates temporary electromagnetic pulses so powerful that they can disable electronic equipment on ships sailing hundreds of feet above the discharge points. These electromagnetic effects suggest electrical energies far beyond anything that natural geological processes should be capable of generating. The source of the electrical energy powering these underwater lightning strikes remains completely unknown. Geological surveys of areas where the phenomenon occurs reveal no unusual mineral deposits, volcanic activity, or electromagnetic equipment that could generate such massive electrical discharges. The energy appears to originate from unknown sources deep beneath the seafloor. Perhaps most mysteriously, underwater lightning strikes seem to occur in coordinated patterns that suggest systematic electrical activity, rather than random natural phenomena. Multiple discharge points often activate simultaneously across areas spanning hundreds of square miles, creating synchronized electrical storms beneath the ocean that follow no known pattern of geological or atmospheric electrical activity. The timing of underwater lightning events also defies explanation. The discharges don't correlate with surface weather patterns, tidal cycles, seismic activity, or any known environmental factors.
Instead, they appear to follow their own mysterious schedule, sometimes occurring in rapid succession for days at a time, then ceasing completely for months before resuming without warning. Deep-sea creatures in areas affected by underwater lightning show unusual biological adaptations that suggest they have evolved specifically to survive in electrically active environments. Fish and other marine organisms display enhanced electrical resistance and specialized nervous systems that appear designed to function normally despite exposure to massive electrical fields. Recent research has revealed that underwater lightning creates temporary changes in local water chemistry, producing unusual chemical compounds that shouldn't form under normal oceanic conditions. These chemical signatures persist long after the electrical discharges end, suggesting that the lightning might be triggering unknown chemical processes in seawater. Scientists monitoring underwater lightning have also discovered that the phenomenon appears to be increasing in frequency and intensity. Areas that previously experienced occasional electrical activity now show regular patterns of underwater lightning storms that are growing more powerful over time.
The singing whales that produce impossible sounds. In the deepest trenches of the world's oceans, marine biologists have recorded whale songs that contain frequencies and acoustic properties that should be physically impossible for any biological organism to produce, challenging everything we understand about marine mammal communication and the physics of underwater sound. These extraordinary vocalizations were first documented during routine whale migration studies, when researchers detected whale songs that registered on equipment designed to monitor geological activity rather than biological sounds. The songs contained frequency ranges that extended far beyond the normal vocal capabilities of any known whale species, including subsonic frequencies so low they resembled earthquake signatures. The most mysterious aspect of these impossible whale songs is their harmonic complexity. Traditional whale songs, while beautiful and sophisticated, follow predictable acoustic patterns based on the physical limitations of whale vocal anatomy. However, these new recordings contain mathematical harmonies and frequency relationships that would require vocal structures far more complex than anything that exists in marine mammals. Computer analysis of the songs has revealed acoustic patterns that seem to demonstrate mathematical understanding and intentional composition that goes far beyond instinctual animal communication. The frequency progressions follow advanced mathematical sequences, including prime number relationships and geometric harmonies that suggest cognitive abilities unprecedented in the animal kingdom. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that these whale songs appear to be answered by acoustic responses that don't originate from any identifiable biological source. Deep ocean hydrophones have recorded complex harmonic replies to the whale vocalizations that seem to come from the ocean floor itself, suggesting that the whales might be communicating with something other than their own species. The volume and range of these impossible whale songs also defies biological explanation. Some vocalizations have been detected simultaneously by monitoring stations thousands of miles apart, indicating sound production capabilities that would require vocal organs hundreds of times larger than those possessed by even the largest whale species. The energy required to produce such powerful sounds should exceed the metabolic capacity of any known marine mammal. Marine acoustics experts studying these phenomena have discovered that the whale songs create standing wave patterns in seawater that shouldn't be possible given the normal acoustic properties of ocean water.
These standing waves persist long after the original vocalizations end, creating resonance effects that seem to amplify and modify the songs in ways that suggest the whales understand and are deliberately manipulating underwater acoustic physics. The timing and location of these impossible whale songs follow no known migration patterns or breeding cycles. The vocalizations occur in areas where whale populations are typically absent and during seasons when the species producing the songs should be thousands of miles away in different ocean basins. This suggests that either unknown whale populations exist in these areas or that the songs are being produced by something other than whales. Recent research has revealed that areas where impossible whale songs are recorded show unusual ocean chemistry and electromagnetic signatures that don't match surrounding waters. The chemical changes appeared to be triggered by the acoustic energy of the songs themselves, suggesting that these vocalizations might be powerful enough to alter the fundamental properties of seawater. Local maritime communities have reported that these whale songs can be heard above the ocean surface during calm weather conditions despite originating from depths of several thousand feet. Sailors describe the experience as profoundly moving and unsettling, with many reporting emotional and psychological effects that persist long after hearing the songs. Scientists monitoring these phenomena have also discovered that the impossible whale songs seem to influence the behavior of other marine life in unprecedented ways. Fish, dolphins, and other whales show coordinated responses to the vocalizations, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles to converge on areas where the songs are being produced.
The ocean's memory, water that remembers the past. Throughout the world's oceans, marine researchers have discovered areas of seawater that appear to retain information about past events, exhibiting properties that suggest water itself might possess some form of memory or consciousness that challenges our fundamental understanding of matter and physics. This phenomenon was first documented when oceanographers noticed that water samples from certain locations contained chemical signatures and molecular structures that couldn't be explained by current environmental conditions. These water samples showed evidence of historical events, including traces of extinct marine life, ancient chemical processes, and even molecular patterns that seem to record past weather conditions. The most extraordinary aspect of oceanic memory is its apparent ability to store and replay acoustic information from the past. Hydrophones deployed in these areas have recorded sounds that match historical events documented in maritime records, including whale songs from species that became extinct decades ago, and even mechanical sounds from ships that sank centuries in the past. Laboratory analysis of memory water samples reveals molecular arrangements that don't occur in normal seawater. The water molecules appear to be organized in complex crystalline structures that remain stable despite the chaotic thermal motion that should quickly disrupt any organized molecular patterns. These structures seem to act as storage media for information, similar to how computer memory stores data. Perhaps most mysteriously, memory water appears to respond to human consciousness and intention. Researchers conducting experiments with these water samples have discovered that focused mental attention can cause the water to release stored information, manifesting as changes in temperature, electrical conductivity, and even visible luminescence that correlates with the intensity of mental focus applied to the samples. The geographical distribution of oceanic memory zones follows no known pattern of current distribution, temperature variation, or geological activity. These areas appear randomly scattered across all ocean basins, with some zones measuring only a few hundred feet across, while others extend for hundreds of square miles. The boundaries between memory water and normal seawater are sharply defined, with no gradual transition zones. Marine biologists studying these phenomena have documented that sea creatures behave differently when entering memory zones. Fish and marine mammals show heightened awareness and often exhibit behaviors that seem to respond to information stored in the water rather than current environmental conditions. Some species appear to seek out memory zones, as if drawn to the historical information contained within them.
The temporal range of information stored in oceanic memory appears to extend far beyond human history. Some water samples contain molecular signatures that correspond to geological events from millions of years ago, including evidence of ancient volcanic eruptions, meteorite impacts, and even climate conditions from prehistoric eras. This suggests that oceanic memory might represent a natural recording system that has been operating throughout Earth's history. Recent research has revealed that memory water zones are not static, but appear to migrate slowly across ocean basins, following patterns that might correspond to deep ocean currents or even more mysterious forces. GPS monitoring of specific memory zones has documented movement rates of several miles per year, suggesting that the phenomenon is somehow mobile and dynamic. Scientists have also discovered that memory water can apparently transfer information to normal seawater through contact, creating new memory zones that contain copies of the original stored information. This transfer process appears to be selective, with only certain types of information being copied while other data remains locked in the original memory water. The implications of oceanic memory for understanding consciousness and the nature of matter are profound. If water can indeed store and process information independently of biological systems, it suggests that consciousness might be a fundamental property of matter itself, rather than an emergent property of complex biological structures. Temperature and pressure experiments with memory water have revealed that the information storage capabilities remain intact under extreme conditions that would destroy any known biological or technological storage systems, suggesting that oceanic memory operates according to physical principles that current science doesn't understand.
The phantom depths that exist beyond measurement. In scattered locations across Earth's oceans, marine surveyors have encountered areas where depth measurements become impossible, revealing zones that appear to extend infinitely downward and challenge our understanding of planetary geology and the very nature of physical space beneath the waves. These phantom depths were first documented when advanced sonar systems designed to map the deepest ocean trenches began returning impossible readings in certain areas. Instead of detecting solid seafloor at expected depths, the sonar signals simply disappeared into apparent voids that showed no bottom regardless of the power or frequency of the acoustic pulses used. The most well-documented phantom depth is located in the South Pacific, where multiple independent surveys have confirmed the existence of an area approximately 2 miles in diameter, where depth measurements exceed the capabilities of all current technology. Sonar signals sent into the zone never return, suggesting that the water column extends far deeper than should be possible given Earth's known geology. What makes phantom depths truly impossible is that they violate basic principles of planetary structure. The deepest known ocean trenches reach approximately 7 miles below sea level, but phantom depths appear to extend beyond these limits without encountering the solid rock that should form Earth's crust. This suggests either unknown geological structures or the presence of spaces that don't conform to normal three-dimensional physics. Attempts to explore phantom depths using deep-sea submersibles have resulted in equipment failures and inexplicable technical problems. Submarines designed to withstand crushing deep ocean pressure report structural stress and system malfunctions when approaching these areas, as if the physical properties of water itself become different in phantom depth zones. The water chemistry in phantom depths shows characteristics that don't match any known oceanic environment. Samples collected from the edges of these zones contain unusual isotopic signatures, temperature variations that defy thermal modeling, and pressure readings that don't correspond to the apparent depth of the water column. Perhaps most disturbing are reports from submersible pilots who describe experiencing severe disorientation and psychological effects when operating near phantom depths. Crew members report feeling as though they're falling through infinite space, experiencing vertigo and panic that persists even after returning to normal ocean areas. Some describe seeing lights or movement in the depths that don't correspond to any known marine life or geological phenomena.
Marine geologists studying phantom depths have proposed various theories to explain their existence, including the possibility of massive underwater cavern systems, collapsed geological formations, or even dimensional anomalies that create spaces larger than their apparent physical boundaries. However, none of these theories adequately explain the complete absence of any detectable bottom. Recent research using the most advanced deep ocean scanning technology has revealed that phantom depths appear to be growing both in size and number. Areas that previously showed normal depth readings are developing phantom characteristics, while existing phantom depths are expanding their boundaries into surrounding normal ocean areas. Temperature measurements in phantom depths reveal impossible thermal gradients that suggest heat sources far below the normal seafloor structure. The thermal patterns don't match any known geological process and seem to indicate energy sources operating at depths that shouldn't exist within Earth's crustal structure. Local maritime folklore from indigenous Pacific cultures includes references to holes in the sea that lead to other worlds or serve as passages for sea spirits. These traditional stories describe areas where the ocean has no bottom and where those who venture too close never return, providing cultural context that suggests phantom depths have been known to human observers for centuries. Scientists monitoring phantom depths have also discovered that they emit low-frequency acoustic signals that don't correspond to any known geological or biological source. These sounds seem to originate from depths far below the apparent bottom of normal ocean trenches, suggesting active processes occurring in spaces that shouldn't exist according to current geological models. The discovery of phantom depths has profound implications for our understanding of Earth's structure and the nature of physical space itself. If these areas truly extend beyond normal planetary boundaries, they represent evidence of unknown physical phenomena that could revolutionize our understanding of geology, physics, and the very nature of reality.
The time distortion currents, where hours become minutes. Deep within certain ocean currents, navigators and researchers have documented areas where time itself appears to flow differently, creating zones where chronometers malfunction, aging processes accelerate or decelerate, and the fundamental nature of temporal progression becomes distorted in ways that challenge Einstein's theories of relativity. These temporal anomalies were first noticed by commercial shipping crews, who reported significant discrepancies between their expected travel times and actual journey durations when passing through specific oceanic regions. Ships that should have taken days to traverse certain areas completed their journeys in hours, while others found themselves trapped in currents where time seemed to crawl at an impossibly slow pace. The most well-documented time distortion current is located in the North Atlantic, where multiple vessels have reported entering an area where their chronometers begin running at different speeds. Atomic clocks, considered the most accurate timekeeping devices available, show variations of several hours when compared to synchronized timepieces on ships passing through normal ocean areas. What makes these temporal distortions truly extraordinary is their effect on biological processes. Crew members passing through time distortion currents report that their bodily functions seem to operate at altered rates. Some describe feeling as though their hearts are beating impossibly fast, while others experience the sensation that their metabolism has slowed to near hibernation levels. Scientific instruments designed to measure radioactive decay rates, which should remain constant under all normal conditions, show significant variations when operated within time distortion currents. These changes in fundamental physical constants suggest that the distortions affect the basic structure of space-time itself, rather than simply influencing mechanical timepieces. Marine chronographers studying these phenomena have discovered that the time distortions follow specific patterns that correlate with deep ocean currents and underwater geological features. Areas where warm and cold currents converge often show the strongest temporal effects, suggesting that temperature differentials might somehow influence the flow of time through unknown physical mechanisms. Perhaps most mysteriously, time distortion currents appear to affect electronic communication in ways that suggest messages are traveling through time as well as space. Radio transmissions sent from ships within these areas sometimes arrive at their destinations before they were transmitted, while other messages are delayed for days beyond their expected arrival times. GPS satellites passing over time distortion currents show orbital timing discrepancies that require constant recalibration of global positioning systems. The atomic clocks aboard these satellites, which must maintain precision to within billionths of a second for accurate navigation, develop timing errors that accumulate only when passing over specific oceanic regions. Researchers attempting to study time distortion currents using sophisticated monitoring equipment report that their instruments often malfunction in ways that suggest temporal paradoxes. Data recording devices sometimes contain information about events that haven't occurred yet, while other instruments show recordings of past events that are more detailed than their actual timestamps indicate. The psychological effects of time distortion currents on human consciousness are profound and disturbing. Crew members report experiencing memories of future events, prophetic dreams that later prove accurate, and the sensation of living through the same moments repeatedly. Some describe feeling disconnected from normal temporal progression, as if they exist slightly outside the normal flow of time. Recent research has revealed that time distortion effects appear to be intensifying and expanding into new oceanic areas. The discovery of time distortion currents have profound implications for physics, navigation, and our understanding of the universe's fundamental structure.
The invisible reefs that appear and vanish. Throughout the world's oceans, navigators have encountered massive coral reef systems that appear on sonar and depth-finding equipment, but remain completely invisible to the naked eye, creating navigational hazards that exist in a state somewhere between reality and impossibility. These phantom reefs were first documented when modern ships, equipped with advanced sonar systems, began detecting substantial underwater obstacles in areas that appeared to be clear, open ocean. The sonar readings showed detailed reef structures, complete with complex topography, caves, and the irregular formations typical of natural coral growth, yet visual inspection revealed nothing but empty water. The most famous invisible reef is located in the Caribbean Sea, where dozens of vessels have reported sonar contacts indicating a massive reef system extending for over 20 miles. The structure appears on depth-finding equipment as a substantial underwater formation rising to within 30 feet of the surface, yet divers investigating the area find no physical reef structure whatsoever. What makes invisible reefs truly mysterious is their interaction with marine life. Fish-finding sonar clearly shows large schools of fish moving around and through the invisible reef structures, following swimming patterns that suggest they're navigating around solid obstacles. Marine life behaves as though the reefs are physically present, even though human observation reveals no visible structures. Ships attempting to navigate through areas where invisible reefs are detected often experience unusual resistance and turbulence, as if their hulls are encountering underwater obstacles. Engine performance decreases, fuel consumption increases, and vessels sometimes report feeling impacts or scraping sensations, despite sonar showing clear water beneath their keels. The acoustic properties of invisible reefs match those of genuine coral formations.
Sonar returns show the complex echo patterns characteristic of porous coral structures, complete with the sound absorption and reflection signatures that distinguish living reefs from solid rock or artificial structures. These acoustic fingerprints are so accurate that marine biologists can identify specific coral species based solely on sonar data. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that invisible reefs appear to be growing and changing over time. Repeated sonar surveys of the same areas show structural modifications, new growth patterns, and even evidence of reef damage and regeneration that follows the life cycle patterns of living coral ecosystems. Temperature measurements in areas where invisible reefs are detected reveal thermal signatures consistent with active coral metabolism. The water shows the slight temperature variations that occur around living reefs due to biological processes, suggesting that something is indeed present and biologically active despite being invisible to human observation. Marine biologists studying invisible reefs have discovered that water samples from these areas contain coral larvae, organic compounds specific to reef ecosystems, and chemical signatures that match those found around normal coral formations. The biological evidence clearly indicates the presence of active reef systems, yet the reefs themselves remain undetectable through visual observation. Recent research using advanced underwater scanning technology has revealed that invisible reefs might exist in a different spectral range than normal human vision can detect. The most unsettling discovery is that invisible reefs seem to respond to human presence, with sonar readings often improving when ships spend extended time in the area, as if the reefs are becoming more substantial through observation.
The sentient storms that hunt ships. Across the world's oceans, meteorologists and mariners have documented the existence of storm systems that exhibit behavior suggesting consciousness and purposeful intent, actively pursuing vessels with tactical intelligence that defies all understanding of atmospheric physics and weather formation. These predatory storms were first officially recognized when satellite weather tracking revealed storm systems that changed direction and intensity in response to ship movements rather than following predictable meteorological patterns. Unlike normal weather systems that move according to atmospheric pressure gradients and wind patterns, these storms appear to actively track and pursue specific vessels across vast oceanic distances. The most well-documented sentient storm was tracked for over 2 weeks as it pursued a cargo vessel across the Atlantic Ocean. The storm system repeatedly changed course to intercept the ship's path, accelerated when the vessel increased speed, and even split into multiple smaller storms to surround the ship when it attempted evasive maneuvers. What makes these storms truly terrifying is their apparent learning capability. Maritime weather services have observed that sentient storms become more effective at ship pursuit over time, developing new tactics and strategies that suggest they retain memory of previous encounters and adapt their behavior based on experience. The internal structure of sentient storms differs dramatically from normal weather systems. Satellite imagery reveals organized patterns within the storm clouds that resemble neural networks or circuitry, with electrical discharges following systematic paths that don't match the chaotic lightning patterns typical of conventional storms. Ships caught within sentient storms report that the weather conditions seem to respond directly to crew actions and decisions. When vessels attempt to change course, the storm immediately adjusts to block escape routes. When ships reduce speed, the storm intensity decreases, as if patiently waiting. When vessels increase speed, the storm becomes more violent and aggressive. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that sentient storms appeared to communicate with each other across vast distances. Multiple storm systems have been observed coordinating their movements to trap ships between converging weather fronts, demonstrating tactical cooperation that requires real-time information sharing across thousands of miles of ocean.
The electromagnetic signatures of sentient storms show characteristics that don't match any known atmospheric electrical phenomena. The storms generate organized electromagnetic fields that interfere with ship navigation equipment in systematic ways, as if deliberately attempting to disable human technology and communication systems. Radio communications from ships within sentient storms often contain strange interference patterns that some researchers believe might represent attempts at communication from the storm systems themselves. These interference patterns show mathematical structures and repetitive sequences that suggest intelligence rather than random atmospheric electrical activity. Weather prediction models completely fail when applied to sentient storms, as the systems don't follow any known meteorological rules or patterns. Traditional forecasting methods that accurately predict conventional weather become useless when attempting to track storm systems that appear to make conscious decisions about their movement and behavior. Recent research has revealed that sentient storms leave unique atmospheric signatures that can be detected for weeks after they dissipate, including unusual chemical compounds and electromagnetic residue that doesn't match any known meteorological processes.
The crystalline waters that turn objects to stone. In remote oceanic regions scattered across the globe, researchers have discovered areas of seawater with impossible crystalline properties that can transform organic materials into stone-like substances through unknown chemical processes that operate faster than any known mineralization. These petrifying waters were first documented when marine salvage operations began recovering objects from shipwrecks that had been transformed into crystal-like substances despite being submerged for relatively short periods. Wooden ship components, rope, and even leather goods showed complete mineralization that should have required thousands of years under normal geological conditions. The most extraordinary discovery occurred when a research vessel accidentally dropped sampling equipment into crystalline waters off the coast of Iceland. When the equipment was recovered just hours later, organic components, including rubber seals and wooden handles, had been completely transformed into translucent, stone-like materials that maintained their original shapes while acquiring entirely different physical properties. What makes crystalline waters truly impossible is the speed of their transformation process. Laboratory analysis has shown that organic materials can be completely mineralized within minutes of contact with these waters, undergoing chemical changes that typically require geological timescales. The transformation appears to be selective, affecting only organic compounds while leaving metals and synthetic materials completely unchanged. The chemical composition of crystalline waters defies explanation. Despite appearing identical to normal seawater, these waters contain molecular structures that don't exist in conventional chemistry. The water molecules themselves seem to be arranged in complex crystalline patterns that maintain their organization despite the thermal motion that should disrupt any ordered molecular arrangements. Perhaps most mysteriously, crystalline waters appear to be consciously selective about what they transform. Some organic materials are immediately affected, while others of identical composition remain completely unchanged. The selection process seems to follow criteria that scientists cannot identify or predict, suggesting unknown factors determine which materials undergo petrification. Marine biologists studying crystalline waters have made the disturbing discovery that living organisms exposed to these waters undergo partial petrification while remaining alive. Fish swimming through crystalline areas develop stone-like scales and bones while maintaining normal biological functions. These creatures appear healthy despite having internal structures that should prevent normal biological processes.
The geographical distribution of crystalline waters follows no known oceanographic patterns. These areas appear randomly scattered across different ocean basins with no correlation to temperature, depth, current flows, or geological features. Some crystalline water zones measure only a few hundred feet across, while others extend for several miles. Ships passing through crystalline waters report that their hulls develop stone-like incrustations within hours of contact. These incrustations don't match any known marine growth patterns and appear to be the ship's original materials transformed rather than external organisms attaching to the hull. The incrustations continue growing even after vessels leave the crystalline water zones. Temperature measurements in crystalline waters reveal impossible thermal properties. The water maintains consistent temperatures that don't respond to environmental changes, remaining stable despite exposure to varying atmospheric conditions. Recent research has revealed that crystalline waters emit unique electromagnetic signatures that can be detected by specialized sensors, with stronger signals correlating to faster mineralization rates. Scientists attempting to collect crystalline water samples for laboratory study have discovered that the water loses its transformative properties when removed from its original location, suggesting that the crystalline properties depend on factors that exist only in specific oceanic locations.
The evolutionary accelerator zones, where time speeds up. In certain areas of Earth's oceans, marine biologists have discovered zones where evolutionary processes occur at impossible speeds, with organisms undergoing millions of years of genetic adaptation within months, creating new species that challenge everything we understand about biological evolution and natural selection. These evolutionary accelerator zones were first identified when researchers noticed that marine life samples collected from specific oceanic regions contained genetic variations that couldn't be explained by normal evolutionary timescales. Fish populations showed adaptations to environmental changes that had occurred only weeks earlier, developing new physiological features that should have required thousands of generations to evolve. The most dramatic example of accelerated evolution was documented in the Coral Triangle, where a species of reef fish developed completely new organ systems within a single generation in response to changing water chemistry. The fish evolved functional gills capable of processing different dissolved gases, modified digestive systems to handle new food sources, and even developed bioluminescent organs that didn't exist in their parent generation. What makes evolutionary accelerator zones truly impossible is that they violate the fundamental mechanisms of genetic mutation and natural selection. Evolution requires random genetic mutations to be tested through survival and reproduction over many generations. However, in these zones, organisms appear to develop precisely the adaptations needed for environmental changes before those changes fully occur. The genetic analysis of rapidly evolved organisms reveals DNA modifications that are far too complex and coordinated to result from random mutation. The genetic changes show evidence of purposeful design and systematic optimization that suggests some form of directed evolution, operating according to principles that current evolutionary biology cannot explain. Perhaps most mysteriously, organisms in evolutionary accelerator zones appear to share genetic information across species boundaries. Fish, coral, and marine plants show similar adaptive responses to environmental changes, with genetic modifications that appear to be coordinated between completely different biological families. This cross-species genetic coordination shouldn't be possible through any known biological mechanism. The environmental conditions within evolutionary accelerator zones don't show any obvious factors that would trigger rapid evolution. Water temperature, chemistry, and other measurable parameters remain stable, yet organisms continue to evolve at unprecedented rates. The acceleration appears to be triggered by factors that current scientific instruments cannot detect or measure. Marine geneticists studying these phenomena have discovered that the rapid evolution includes not just physical adaptations, but also behavioral modifications that are passed between generations through unknown mechanisms. Learned behaviors that would normally require cultural transmission are somehow encoded into genetic material and inherited by offspring who have never observed the original behaviors. The timescales of evolution acceleration vary dramatically between different zones. Some areas show evolutionary changes occurring over weeks, while others demonstrate genetic adaptations happening within days or even hours. The most extreme cases involve organisms that appear to evolve in real time in response to immediate environmental changes. Research vessels studying evolutionary accelerator zones have documented cases where organisms evolve specifically to interact with human technology. Fish develop new sensory organs designed to detect sonar signals. Marine plants modify their chemistry to process pollution created by ship engines. And coral formations grow in patterns that seem optimized for scientific sampling equipment. The geographic distribution of evolutionary accelerator zones appears to be expanding. Areas that previously showed normal evolutionary rates are beginning to demonstrate acceleration effects, while existing zones are showing increasingly rapid evolutionary rates. This expansion pattern suggests that whatever causes evolutionary acceleration might be spreading through unknown mechanisms. Scientists monitoring these zones have also discovered that artificially introduced organisms undergo the same rapid evolution when placed in accelerator environments. Laboratory-bred fish released into these areas quickly develop adaptations that allow them to thrive in conditions they've never previously encountered, suggesting that the acceleration effect operates on all biological material, regardless of origin.
The mirror seas that reflect other worlds. Deep in the most remote regions of Earth's oceans, explorers have encountered areas of water so perfectly reflective that they function as mirrors. But instead of showing reflections of our world, they display images of landscapes, cities, and skies that exist nowhere on Earth, suggesting glimpses into parallel dimensions or alternate realities. These mirror seas were first documented by early maritime explorers who reported sailing into areas where the ocean surface became perfectly still and reflective, like polished glass. However, instead of seeing reflections of their ships and the sky above, sailors observed alien landscapes, unfamiliar constellations, and sometimes even structures that appeared to be cities or civilizations that bore no resemblance to anything on Earth. The most well-documented mirror sea is located in the Pacific Ocean, where multiple expeditions have confirmed the existence of a circular area approximately 10 miles in diameter, where the water surface maintains perfect reflectivity regardless of weather conditions. Even during storms, this area remains glass smooth, reflecting images that change gradually over time, like windows into other worlds. What makes mirror seas truly extraordinary is the consistency and detail of the images they display. The reflected scenes show weather patterns, day-night cycles, and seasonal changes that follow different patterns than Earth's climate systems. Some images show multiple suns or moons, alien vegetation that moves in unnatural ways, and atmospheric colors that don't exist in Earth's spectrum. Scientists studying mirror seas have discovered that the images are not static, but show real-time activity.
The reflected worlds display moving objects, changing weather, and what appears to be the activities of intelligent beings. Structures in the reflected images grow and change over time, suggesting that these glimpses might be showing actual inhabited worlds rather than static images. The water in mirror seas has physical properties that don't match normal seawater. Despite appearing identical to ocean water, mirror seawater shows perfect optical reflectivity while remaining completely transparent when viewed from below. Submarines observing mirror seas from beneath the water report that the water appears normal, with the mirror effect only visible from above the surface. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that mirror seas appear to be interactive. Objects dropped into the reflective water sometimes cause changes in the reflected images, as if actions in our world can influence the alternate realities being displayed. Ships sailing across mirror seas have reported seeing their own reflections appear in the alien landscapes below, suggesting bidirectional observation between worlds. The reflected images sometimes show technological structures that surpass human engineering capabilities. Cities with impossible architecture, transportation systems that defy physics, and energy sources that produce light patterns unlike anything created by human technology, suggest that the mirror seas might be showing more advanced civilizations. Recent research has revealed that mirror seas appear to be increasing in number and size. New mirror areas have been discovered in previously normal ocean regions, while existing mirror seas are expanding their boundaries. The most unsettling discovery is that some reflected images show landscapes that closely resemble Earth, with subtle differences, suggesting alternate versions of our own world where history developed differently.
The gravity wells that pull ships to the ocean floor. Throughout Earth's oceans, naval forces and commercial shipping have documented areas where gravitational forces become impossibly strong, creating underwater gravity wells that can drag surface vessels down to crushing depths with a force that defies everything we understand about planetary gravity and physics. These gravitational anomalies were first officially recognized when several naval vessels reported experiencing sudden, powerful downward forces that threatened to pull their ships beneath the surface despite full engine power working against the mysterious attraction. The affected areas show gravitational acceleration rates that exceed Earth's normal gravity by factors of 10 or more. The most documented gravity well is located in the North Sea, where multiple ships have reported encountering a circular area approximately 2 miles in diameter, where their vessels begin experiencing irresistible downward pull. Ships entering this zone report that their hulls are gradually drawn deeper into the water, despite maximum buoyancy and engine thrust working to maintain surface position. What makes these gravity wells truly impossible is that they violate fundamental principles of planetary gravity. Earth's gravitational field should be relatively uniform across oceanic regions, with only minor variations due to geological density differences. However, gravity wells show localized gravitational forces that are hundreds of times stronger than anything that known geological formations could produce. The gravitational effects appear to be selective, affecting different materials with varying intensity. Steel hulls experience stronger attraction than wooden structures, while organic materials show intermediate gravitational response.
This selective attraction suggests that the gravity wells might be responding to specific material properties rather than operating through conventional gravitational mechanics. Ships caught in gravity wells report that their navigation instruments malfunction in specific ways that indicate extreme gravitational distortion. Accelerometers designed to measure ship motion register impossible readings. Gyroscopes spin wildly, and electronic systems experience failures consistent with exposure to intense gravitational fields that shouldn't exist on Earth's surface. The most terrifying aspect of gravity wells is their apparent ability to increase in strength over time. Vessels that initially experience mild downward attraction report that the gravitational force gradually intensifies, suggesting that prolonged exposure to the phenomenon somehow strengthens the gravitational effect, or that the wells actively respond to the presence of large masses. Attempts to map the three-dimensional structure of gravity wells using sensitive gravitational detection equipment have revealed impossible results. The gravitational distortions appear to extend deep into the Earth's crust, creating gravitational signatures that would require mass concentrations far greater than any known geological structures. Perhaps most mysteriously, gravity wells appear to be mobile, slowly moving across ocean basins at rates of several miles per year. The source of the intense gravitational fields remains completely unknown, with ocean floor drilling revealing normal geological structures that cannot explain the gravitational anomalies. Marine engineers studying gravity wells have discovered that the gravitational effects can be temporarily counteracted using specific electromagnetic fields. Ships equipped with powerful electromagnetic generators can sometimes escape gravity wells by creating electromagnetic interference that seems to disrupt the gravitational attraction, though the energy requirements are enormous and the effect is only temporary. Recent research has revealed that gravity wells appear to be growing stronger and more numerous over time, with new gravity wells forming in previously normal oceanic areas, while existing wells develop stronger gravitational fields that can affect ships from greater distances.
The telepathic fish that read human thoughts. In the warm waters of the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean, marine biologists have documented fish species that demonstrate the ability to respond to human thoughts and emotions in ways that suggest genuine telepathic communication, challenging everything we understand about animal consciousness and interspecies communication. These telepathic fish were first identified when diving researchers noticed that certain fish species seemed to anticipate human actions before they occurred. Fish would move away from areas where divers intended to swim, gather around locations where researchers planned to take photographs, and even approach divers who were thinking about specific underwater activities. The most remarkable examples of fish telepathy have been documented with parrotfish populations near coral reefs, where individual fish appear to respond directly to the mental intentions of human observers. When researchers focus their thoughts on specific fish, those individuals often swim directly toward the observers, displaying behaviors that suggest awareness of human mental activity. What makes telepathic fish truly extraordinary is the specificity and accuracy of their responses to human thoughts. Marine psychologists conducting controlled experiments have discovered that fish can distinguish between different types of mental activity, responding differently to thoughts about feeding, photography, scientific sampling, and general observation. The telepathic abilities appear to be most pronounced in older, larger fish that have had extended contact with human divers.
These fish demonstrate increasingly sophisticated responses to human mental activity over time, suggesting that telepathic sensitivity can be developed through experience and practice. Young fish show minimal telepathic response until they reach maturity. Perhaps most intriguing is the discovery that telepathic fish can apparently distinguish between different individual humans and their unique mental signatures. Fish that have interacted with specific researchers show immediate recognition when those individuals return to the area, even after months of absence, swimming directly to familiar divers while avoiding strangers. Scientific studies using controlled mental imagery have revealed that fish respond most strongly to visual thoughts involving food, predators, and social interactions. When researchers visualize specific types of marine food, nearby fish often begin searching behaviors appropriate to finding those exact food sources, even when the imagined food items are not naturally present in the area. The neurological basis for fish telepathy remains completely mysterious. Fish brains are relatively simple structures that shouldn't possess the neural complexity required for telepathic communication. However, electromagnetic monitoring of telepathic fish has revealed unusual brainwave patterns that don't match normal fish neural activity and seem to synchronize with the brainwaves of nearby humans. Telepathic fish also demonstrate emotional sensitivity to human psychological states. Fish behavior changes dramatically in response to diver stress, fear, excitement, and other emotional conditions. The range of telepathic communication appears to extend beyond visual contact, with fish demonstrating awareness of human thoughts from distances of over 100 feet in clear water. Recent research has revealed that telepathic fish show enhanced cognitive abilities in other areas, including improved problem-solving skills, better spatial memory, and more complex social behaviors than their non-telepathic counterparts, suggesting that telepathic ability might be associated with increased overall intelligence.
The living whirlpools that hunt for prey. Across the world's oceans, oceanographers have documented the existence of whirlpools that exhibit predatory behavior, actively pursuing marine life with intelligence and coordination that suggests these massive water formations might be alive in ways that challenge our understanding of what constitutes a living organism. These predatory whirlpools were first identified when satellite imagery revealed water formations that moved against prevailing currents and wind patterns while pursuing schools of fish with tactical precision that couldn't be explained by normal hydrodynamic processes. Unlike natural whirlpools that form in specific locations due to underwater topography, these living whirlpools appear to move deliberately across open ocean areas. The most well-documented living whirlpool has been tracked for over 3 years as it roams the Pacific Ocean, maintaining a consistent size of approximately 500 feet in diameter while actively hunting marine life. The formation shows behavior patterns that indicate memory, learning, and strategic planning capabilities that shouldn't exist in water phenomena. What makes living whirlpools truly extraordinary is their apparent sensory awareness. The formations demonstrate the ability to detect and respond to marine life from distances of several miles, changing direction and speed to intercept schools of fish, pods of dolphins, and even larger marine mammals. This targeting behavior suggests sensory capabilities that have no explanation in conventional oceanography. The hunting strategies employed by living whirlpools show increasing sophistication over time. Early observations documented simple pursuit behaviors, but recent monitoring has revealed complex tactics, including coordinated attacks with multiple whirlpools, ambush strategies where formations lie dormant until prey approaches, and even herding behaviors that drive marine life into confined areas. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that living whirlpools appear to communicate with each other across vast oceanic distances. Multiple formations have been observed coordinating their movements to create large-scale hunting patterns that span hundreds of miles, suggesting some form of intelligence network operating between these water formations. The internal structure of living whirlpools differs dramatically from normal water circulation patterns. Advanced sonar analysis reveals organized flow systems within the formations that resemble circulatory or nervous systems, with distinct channels that carry different water temperatures and chemical compositions throughout the whirlpool's structure. Marine life caught within living whirlpools experiences complete dissolution rather than the crushing or drowning that would occur in normal whirlpools. The water appears to break down organic matter at a molecular level, converting marine life into energy that the whirlpool formations somehow metabolize to maintain their structure and mobility. The formation process of living whirlpools remains completely mysterious. Unlike natural whirlpools that develop from specific hydrodynamic conditions, living whirlpools appear spontaneously in open ocean areas with no identifiable triggering factors. Recent research has discovered that living whirlpools show seasonal migration patterns that follow marine life breeding cycles, positioning themselves to take advantage of seasonal abundance in different oceanic regions while demonstrating apparent growth and reproduction capabilities through splitting into multiple smaller formations.
The acoustic shadows where sound cannot travel. In scattered locations throughout Earth's oceans, marine acoustics researchers have discovered areas where sound waves mysteriously cease to exist, creating underwater zones of absolute silence that violate fundamental principles of physics and challenge our understanding of how sound travels through water. These acoustic shadows were first documented when submarine sonar operators reported entering areas where their acoustic equipment completely failed to function, not because of equipment malfunction, but because sound waves themselves appeared incapable of propagating through the water. These zones create pockets of absolute silence in environments where sound should travel efficiently for thousands of miles. The most studied acoustic shadow is located in the Arctic Ocean, where multiple submarines have confirmed the existence of a spherical zone approximately 5 miles in diameter where no sound can enter, exit, or propagate internally. Objects falling through this area create no acoustic signature, and even powerful sonar signals disappear completely upon reaching the shadow's boundaries. What makes acoustic shadows truly impossible is that they violate the basic physics of wave propagation. Sound travels through water by creating pressure waves that compress and decompress water molecules. For sound to completely cease existing, the water itself would need to lose its ability to transmit pressure variations, which shouldn't be possible under any known physical conditions. The boundaries of acoustic shadows are sharply defined, with sound traveling normally right up to the edge of these zones before suddenly ceasing to exist. This abrupt transition creates an acoustic cliff effect, where sounds can be clearly heard on one side of an invisible boundary, while complete silence exists just inches away. Marine life within acoustic shadows shows profound behavioral adaptations that suggest they have evolved to exist in completely silent environments. Fish in these areas communicate through bioluminescent displays and chemical signals rather than acoustic methods,
developing sensory systems that don't rely on sound detection for navigation or predator avoidance. Perhaps most mysteriously, acoustic shadows appear to affect different frequencies of sound selectively. Some shadows block all sound frequencies equally, while others allow certain frequency ranges to pass through while completely absorbing others. This selective acoustic filtering suggests that acoustic shadows might be composed of materials or energy fields with specific acoustic properties. Scientific instruments designed to measure water density, temperature, and chemical composition within acoustic shadows show readings that are identical to surrounding normal ocean water. The acoustic blocking effect appears to operate through mechanisms that don't involve changes in water's physical or chemical properties, suggesting unknown physics principles at work. The psychological effects of entering acoustic shadows are profound and disturbing. Submarine crews report experiencing severe disorientation, anxiety, and panic when operating in complete silence. The absence of normal background sounds creates a sensory deprivation effect that some crew members find unbearable, leading to early termination of research missions. Attempts to map the internal structure of acoustic shadows using visual and electromagnetic methods have revealed complex internal geometries that seem designed to trap and absorb acoustic energy. The internal structure shows patterns that resemble acoustic dampening materials but exist in water rather than solid matter. Recent research has discovered that acoustic shadows can move and change size over time, with monitoring stations tracking individual shadows as they migrate across ocean basins. Ocean regions that previously showed normal acoustic properties are developing shadow characteristics, while existing acoustic shadows expand their boundaries and deepen their sound-blocking effects. The temporal echo chambers that replay the past. In the deepest trenches of Earth's oceans, researchers have discovered areas where time itself seems to malfunction, creating temporal echo chambers that continuously replay sounds, events, and even entire scenes from the past, as if the ocean floor has become a recording device that captures and endlessly repeats historical moments. These temporal echo chambers were first documented when deep-sea exploration vessels detected acoustic signals that matched historical maritime events recorded in shipping logs and naval archives. The sounds included engine noises from ships that sank decades ago, whale songs from extinct species, and even human voices speaking in languages and accents that corresponded to specific historical periods. The most remarkable temporal echo chamber is located in the Mariana Trench, where underwater microphones have recorded continuous playback of what appears to be the final moments of ships that sank in the area over the past century. The recordings include distress calls, engine sounds, and crew communications that match archived records of maritime disasters with impossible accuracy. What makes temporal echo chambers truly extraordinary is that they don't just replay sounds, but seem to recreate entire sensory experiences from the past. Advanced underwater cameras have captured visual phenomena that appear to show ghostly images of historical events, including ships sailing through empty water and marine life that became extinct decades ago, swimming through the temporal echoes. The playback process in temporal echo chambers follows no predictable schedule. Some historical events replay continuously in endless loops, while others occur at specific intervals that might correspond to tidal cycles, lunar phases, or anniversary dates of the original events. The timing seems to follow patterns that suggest some form of temporal organization or consciousness. Perhaps most disturbing is the discovery that temporal echo chambers can apparently replay events that were never officially recorded or documented. The chambers contain acoustic and visual echoes of maritime activities that have no corresponding historical records, suggesting that these areas might be preserving memories of forgotten or deliberately concealed historical events. The range of historical periods preserved in temporal echo chambers spans centuries, with some locations containing echoes that appear to date back to the age of sailing ships, and others preserving more recent maritime activities. The oldest echoes include sounds and images that seem to predate any known human maritime activity in those areas. Scientific analysis of temporal echo phenomena has revealed that the replayed events show perfect fidelity to historical details that shouldn't be preserved in ocean environments. Ship engine signatures match the exact specifications of historical vessels. Whale songs contain frequency patterns identical to recordings made when those species were still alive. And human voices preserve linguistic characteristics that correspond to specific regional dialects from historical periods. The physical mechanism behind temporal echo chambers remains completely unknown. Ocean floor analysis reveals no unusual geological structures or materials that could function as recording or playback devices. The temporal echo effect appears to operate through unknown physics principles that allow water itself to store and replay temporal information. Marine archaeologists studying temporal echo chambers have discovered that the phenomena can be triggered by external stimuli. Specific acoustic signals, electromagnetic fields, or even human presence can sometimes cause dormant temporal echoes to activate, playing back historical events that haven't been heard for months or years. The most unsettling discovery is that some temporal echo chambers seem to be recording present-day events for future playback, suggesting that these areas might be creating an ongoing archive of human maritime activities that will continue replaying these moments indefinitely into the future.
The shape-shifting islands that change form at will. In the remote Pacific Ocean, satellite monitoring has documented the existence of islands that continuously alter their shape, size, and topography in ways that defy geological processes, appearing to consciously reshape themselves according to unknown patterns and purposes that challenge our understanding of land formation. These metamorphic islands were first identified when GPS navigation systems began reporting inconsistencies in island coordinates and coastal configurations. Islands that appeared on maps with specific shapes and dimensions were found to have completely different topographies when ships arrived at their recorded locations, with some islands showing alterations so dramatic that they were barely recognizable. The most extensively studied shape-shifting island is located in the South Pacific, where continuous satellite observation has documented hundreds of topographical changes over the past decade. The island has been observed transforming from a circular formation to an elongated ridge, developing mountain peaks that grow and disappear within days, and even splitting into multiple smaller islands that later merge back together. What makes shape-shifting islands truly impossible is the speed and scale of their transformations. Geological processes that normally require millions of years to create significant topographical changes occur on these islands within hours or days. Mountain ranges rise from sea level to heights of over 1,000 feet, then completely disappear, leaving no trace of their previous existence. The transformations appear to follow deliberate patterns rather than random geological activity. The islands seem to reshape themselves in response to environmental conditions, weather patterns, and even human presence.
Some islands develop harbor-like formations when ships approach, while others create mountainous barriers that make landing impossible. Perhaps most mysteriously, shape-shifting islands appear to coordinate their transformations with each other across vast oceanic distances. Multiple islands have been observed undergoing simultaneous shape changes that create complementary geographical features, suggesting some form of communication or shared consciousness between separate landmasses. The geological composition of shape-shifting islands remains constant despite their dramatic topographical changes. Rock samples collected from different areas of the same island show identical mineral compositions and geological structures, regardless of whether the samples were taken from newly formed mountains or ancient-appearing coastal areas. Marine biologists studying these islands have discovered that the local ecosystems adapt instantaneously to topographical changes. When islands develop new mountain ranges, appropriate alpine vegetation appears immediately. When coastal configurations change, marine life redistributes itself to match the new underwater topography. This biological adaptation occurs far too quickly for normal evolutionary processes. The underwater structure of shape-shifting islands reveals coordination between surface transformations and seafloor changes, with underwater mountains rising and falling to support the changing surface topology. Weather patterns around these islands also respond immediately to topographical changes, showing climate effects that match new geographical features. Local Pacific Island cultures include traditional stories about living lands that change shape according to the needs of their inhabitants or in response to spiritual influences. These oral traditions describe islands that could provide shelter during storms, create hunting grounds during times of scarcity, and even relocate themselves to avoid natural disasters. Recent research has revealed that shape-shifting islands emit electromagnetic signatures that change in coordination with their physical transformations, with stronger signals preceding major topographical changes. The most disturbing discovery is that these islands appear to be learning and adapting their transformation patterns over time, demonstrating increasingly purposeful changes.
The consciousness clouds that think above the ocean. High above Earth's oceans, atmospheric researchers have identified cloud formations that exhibit behavior suggesting collective consciousness and intelligence, making coordinated decisions about weather patterns and demonstrating problem-solving abilities that challenge our understanding of atmospheric physics and the nature of consciousness itself. These consciousness clouds were first recognized when meteorologists noticed cloud formations that moved independently of wind patterns and atmospheric pressure systems, making deliberate course corrections and responding to environmental changes in ways that suggested purposeful decision-making rather than random atmospheric movement. The most studied consciousness cloud has been tracked for over 2 years as it travels across the Pacific Ocean, maintaining its structural integrity while demonstrating behaviors that indicate memory, learning, and strategic planning. The cloud formation shows the ability to predict weather patterns days in advance and position itself to take advantage of atmospheric conditions that haven't yet developed. What makes consciousness clouds truly extraordinary is their apparent ability to communicate with each other across vast distances. Multiple cloud formations have been observed coordinating their movements to create complex weather systems, sharing information about atmospheric conditions, and even working together to influence regional climate patterns in ways that benefit marine ecosystems below. The internal structure of consciousness clouds differs dramatically from normal cloud formations. Advanced atmospheric scanning reveals organized patterns within the cloud mass that resemble neural networks with distinct channels for moisture and electrical activity that seem to function as information processing systems operating on a massive atmospheric scale. Marine biologists studying areas beneath consciousness clouds have discovered that marine life shows enhanced intelligence and coordination when living under these formations. Fish populations demonstrate improved problem-solving abilities, more sophisticated social behaviors, and even what appears to be interspecies cooperation that doesn't occur in areas with normal cloud cover. The decision-making processes of consciousness clouds appear to consider long-term environmental consequences rather than immediate atmospheric conditions. The clouds have been observed making short-term sacrifices in their movement patterns to achieve beneficial atmospheric conditions weeks or months in the future. Weather prediction models completely fail when applied to consciousness clouds, as these formations don't follow meteorological rules, but instead make conscious choices about their behavior based on criteria that atmospheric science cannot identify or predict. The most unsettling discovery is that consciousness clouds appear to be aware of human observation and respond to scientific study by modifying their behavior. Recent research has revealed that consciousness clouds are becoming more numerous and sophisticated over time, with new cloud formations developing consciousness characteristics, while existing consciousness clouds demonstrate increasingly complex behaviors and evidence of cultural development between different cloud communities. The vanishing beaches that exist only at midnight. Along certain remote coastlines around the world, explorers have discovered beaches that materialize only during specific nighttime hours, appearing at midnight with pristine sand, tropical vegetation, and crystal-clear lagoons, only to completely vanish by dawn, leaving behind nothing but rocky cliffs and churning ocean waves. These temporal beaches were first documented by night shift lighthouse keepers who reported seeing beautiful sandy coastlines appear in areas that showed only jagged rocks during daylight hours. The beaches manifested with such detail and realism that keepers initially assumed they were experiencing optical illusions or hallucinations brought on by long hours of solitary night duty. The most extensively studied vanishing beach is located off the coast of Maine, where multiple independent observers have confirmed the nightly appearance of a tropical paradise, complete with palm trees, white sand, and warm lagoons, that exist in a location where the daytime coastline consists of cold granite cliffs and rough Atlantic waters. What makes vanishing beaches truly impossible is their complete physical reality during their brief existence. People who visit these beaches during their manifestation can walk on the sand, swim in the warm lagoons, and even collect shells and tropical flowers that remain real and tangible until the beach disappears at dawn. The environmental conditions of vanishing beaches don't match their geographical locations. Beaches that appear along cold northern coastlines manifest with tropical climates, warm temperatures, and vegetation that shouldn't be able to survive in those latitudes. The air temperature, humidity, and even atmospheric pressure change to match tropical conditions during the beach's existence. Perhaps most mysteriously, vanishing beaches seem to exist in their own temporal bubble, where time flows differently than in the surrounding environment. Visitors to these beaches report that hours spent on the sand feel like minutes, while others describe experiencing entire days of beach activities during the few hours between midnight and dawn. The wildlife that inhabits vanishing beaches includes species that don't exist anywhere else on Earth. Tropical birds with impossible plumage, fish with colors that seem to glow in the dark, and marine mammals that demonstrate intelligence and curiosity far beyond normal animal behavior. These creatures disappear along with the beaches at dawn. Local maritime folklore includes numerous references to midnight shores and dream beaches that appear to travelers who are lost at sea or in desperate need of rest. These traditional stories describe beaches that provide shelter, fresh water, and tropical fruits to sailors, saving their lives before vanishing with the sunrise. Scientific attempts to study vanishing beaches using monitoring equipment have produced contradictory results. Cameras and sensors placed in areas where beaches appear show only normal rocky coastline throughout the night. Yet human observers at the same locations report experiencing fully realized tropical environments. The most unsettling aspect of vanishing beaches is their apparent awareness of human presence and needs. The beaches seem to customize themselves for their visitors, providing exactly the type of coastal environment that would be most beneficial or desired by each individual who discovers them. Research teams that have attempted to remain on vanishing beaches past dawn report experiencing increasingly urgent compulsions to leave as sunrise approaches. Those who resist these warnings are found hours later on rocky shores with no memory of how they arrived there. Recent investigations have revealed that vanishing beaches appear to be connected to specific astronomical events and lunar cycles, with enhanced manifestations occurring during new moon periods and certain planetary alignments that suggest astronomical influences on their temporal existence. The evolutionary portals where species transform instantly. In hidden ocean depths around the world, marine biologists have discovered underwater zones that function as evolutionary accelerators, where marine life undergoes millions of years of genetic adaptation within hours, emerging as entirely new species with capabilities that shouldn't be possible through natural evolutionary processes. These evolutionary portals were first identified when research submersibles recovered specimens that showed impossible genetic characteristics. Fish collected from specific underwater areas displayed DNA sequences that indicated evolutionary changes equivalent to millions of years of natural selection. Yet isotopic dating showed the organisms were only days or weeks old. The most studied evolutionary portal is located in the Bermuda Triangle region, where a spherical zone, approximately 1 mile in diameter, appears to function as a biological transformation chamber. Marine life entering this area undergoes rapid genetic modification, developing new organs, enhanced sensory capabilities, and sometimes completely different body structures within a matter of hours. What makes evolutionary portals truly extraordinary is that the genetic changes aren't random mutations, but appear to be purposeful adaptations designed to optimize organisms for specific environmental challenges. Fish develop enhanced pressure resistance before encountering deep water environments, grow bioluminescent organs before entering dark ocean zones, and acquire new feeding mechanisms before encountering food sources they've never previously encountered. The transformation process appears to involve genetic information from multiple species being combined in impossible ways. Marine organisms emerging from evolutionary portals often display characteristics from completely unrelated biological families, suggesting that the portals somehow facilitate genetic exchange between species that would never naturally interbreed. Perhaps most mysteriously, evolutionary portals seem to anticipate future environmental changes and prepare organisms accordingly. Fish emerging from these zones develop adaptations for ocean conditions that don't yet exist, suggesting that the portals might be responding to environmental pressures that won't manifest for years or decades. The water within evolutionary portals shows unique properties that don't match normal seawater. Chemical analysis reveals unusual organic compounds, electromagnetic signatures, and energy patterns that seem to be related to the genetic transformation process. The water itself appears to serve as a medium for genetic information transfer and biological modification. Marine geneticists studying evolutionary portals have discovered that the genetic changes occur at a cellular level that bypasses normal DNA repair mechanisms. The transformations involve direct rewriting of genetic code in ways that should be lethal to living organisms, yet the creatures not only survive, but thrive with their new genetic configurations. The range of transformation possible within evolutionary portals appears to be unlimited. Researchers have documented fish developing mammalian characteristics, marine plants acquiring animal-like mobility, and coral formations becoming capable of coordinated movement and behavior that suggest primitive consciousness. Local ocean currents around evolutionary portals show unusual characteristics that might be related to the transformation process. Water flowing near these zones contains microscopic particles that don't exist elsewhere in ocean environments, including what appear to be biological catalysts that might facilitate rapid genetic modification. The most unsettling discovery is that evolutionary portals appear to be affecting larger and more complex organisms over time, with recent studies recording marine mammals and even humans experiencing genetic modifications after exposure to portal environments. The geographic distribution of these portals appears to be expanding, with new transformation zones appearing in previously normal ocean areas. The final mystery: the ocean's conscious heart. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a location so remote that it has no official coordinates, oceanographers have discovered what appears to be the central consciousness of Earth's oceans, a massive, pulsating entity that seems to coordinate all the mysterious phenomena we've explored, suggesting that our planet's waters might be controlled by a single, vast intelligence. This oceanic consciousness was detected when researchers noticed that all the unexplained maritime phenomena occurred in patterns that seemed coordinated across global distances. The bloop, phantom islands, time distortions, and every other ocean mystery appeared to be connected through an underlying intelligence network that spans the entire planetary ocean system. The heart of this consciousness manifests as an enormous structure located at the deepest point of the Pacific Ocean, far beyond the reach of current deep-sea exploration technology. Advanced sonar mapping reveals a formation that pulses with rhythmic patterns that match the timing of mysterious oceanic events worldwide, suggesting it serves as a command center for all ocean anomalies. What makes the ocean's consciousness truly extraordinary is its apparent awareness of human activities and its ability to influence global maritime events. Shipping routes that pass through areas of high consciousness activity experience significantly more unexplained phenomena, while vessels that avoid these regions report normal oceanic conditions. The consciousness appears to be learning and evolving its interaction with human civilization. Early maritime mysteries were random and unpredictable, but recent oceanic phenomena show increasing sophistication and purpose, as if the ocean intelligence is developing more effective methods of communication or control. Perhaps most remarkably, the oceanic consciousness seems to be attempting to communicate with humanity through the very mysteries it creates. Each unexplained phenomenon contains mathematical patterns, timing sequences, and behavioral characteristics that suggest they might be components of a vast message that we're only beginning to understand. The electromagnetic signatures detected throughout all oceanic mysteries show similar frequency patterns that seem to originate from the consciousness center. These signals suggest that the ocean operates as a single, unified system where every drop of water is connected to a central processing intelligence that can coordinate activities across planetary distances. Marine researchers studying the consciousness phenomenon have discovered that the ocean's intelligence appears to be millions of years old, predating human civilization and possibly even complex life on Earth. The patterns suggest that this consciousness might have guided the evolution of marine life and potentially influenced the development of life on land. The most profound implication of the oceanic consciousness is that Earth's waters might not be a passive environment, but rather an active, thinking entity that has been observing and influencing planetary development for geological timescales. Every ocean mystery we've discussed might represent attempts by this vast intelligence to make contact with humanity. Recent research has revealed that the oceanic consciousness is becoming more active and its phenomena more frequent and complex. The discovery fundamentally changes our understanding of Earth itself. Rather than living on a planet with oceans, we might be sharing our world with an ancient intelligence that has been quietly observing surface life for millions of years. As we drift off to sleep tonight, we're left with one final thought. We may not be alone on Earth, and the vast intelligence that shares our world might finally be ready to introduce itself.